All right, guys, what's going on? We are a little late, but we're about to join this panel. Make sure you check out Free Sound Music on YouTube. That's where I use all my music for my stream. So everything from sorry, my thing is messing up. Everything from live streams to content creators for videos, Twitch, YouTube, etc. They make music that is copyright free, so you don't get DMCA'd. So yeah, go check them out. They're awesome. Links in the description on YouTube. Oh, but I'm not on YouTube tonight. Okay, that's fine. It'll be on YouTube anyways. Okay. So let's get in here. We're a little late, but everything's gonna be fine.
What is this I hear about? Isn't there some rule against having an American flag on a piece of clothing? Is that right? Have I got that right? Or
Yeah, for sure.
how does that work then?
So you can have it print on other things, I believe, but you can't have like the actual flag on other things. So like I believe it's the actual flag, or I don't know. Are you not allowed to print the flag on things? I believe like the Gap T-shirts with the flag on it is like actually like against the rules, but that's not an actual flag. That's just like a flag like print, right?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I say screw the flag. I just like the hat.
That's fair enough. Listen, I'm not trying to call you out or anything, you know. I mean, screw the flag. I'm all about that, you know. Let's go.
You like screwing flags too? I thought this was just like a kink for me, dude. What websites do you go to?
All right, there we go.
Oh, you guys can hear my Discord and everything. All right, turn that off. So we're waiting on Aiko and Irene.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be the latest one. Glad I'm not.
No, it's all good. I used to run a panel, and I know that lefties sometimes can be a little bit, you know.
It's what literally everybody has said when they came in.
I mean, look, you know, this is the difference for me. I'll own up to the mistakes my side makes, okay? Always. So there we go. There's one. Put that in the put that on the board, okay? Lefties are late sometimes.
Oh man. So how is everybody? Nice to meet everybody.
I'm doing good. Yeah, we've met before. I think on John Burke's panel, right? Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, good to see you again.
Great to see
Rob.
you again. Yeah. I'm doing great.
Chud, I never met you or Daniela.
Yeah, nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
We've probably got some disagreements, but I'm sure we can keep it civil. You know, I'm sure it'll be fun.
We'll figure it out.
Yep.
We'll figure it out. Yep.
Tom, how about you? How you been doing, man? Doing good?
Yeah, I've been doing okay. The stuff with Twitch is stressful, man.
Yeah.
I'm pissed.
How's that shaping up? Is it
They don't even answer me. Like they haven't answered my appeal whatsoever. So like I don't know. I don't know how it should. And I just talked to Vosh the other day, and he said that they literally never answered him. Never.
Oh.
They just out of nowhere told him that he could come back like years later. So
is it a suspension?
It is an indefinite suspension.
Oh. All right then.
What did you do? Or not do?
Can't repeat it. Okay, good. All right, well.
Oh, you're not. I see.
I can say it on YouTube and
offline.
Facebook. It's I literally I don't know if you guys saw my video where I explained why I got banned. in the video, I literally go and type the same exact thing into Facebook chat, into YouTube chat, and into Discord chat, just to prove a point that only Twitch is that freaking sensitive to where they would ban you for that. But whatever. I got taken out of context pretty hardcore on a comment, and it looks really, really bad out of context.
It was something you typed and not even something that you were streaming? Wow. Sheesh.
I had just finished streaming. I just hit 500 followers. I just got my first check from Twitch. It was like I've been with Twitch for 2 months at that point. So like I came out of the stream like super hyped, thinking like, man, this is.
What are you saying, Liquid? Here, let me do this then.
Really
here,
well,
let me see.
then, like
this is what I did before. We'll just do this.
And
yeah,
like my last two channels were the ones with like Destiny and Denims and all of them.
Oh, wait,
the next one was like Vosh and Demon Mama and Socked on the Left, and the one before that was the one with you and Redneck and all of them. Like everything was going well, man. Everything was going really well, and then they just put it all to a halt. So now, hopefully, this panel will get some people over here to my YouTube. Everybody, make sure that y'all hit the thumbs up button and the sub button while you're here.
Yeah, the problem you've got is it's difficult to move people from one platform to another.
What is if people just on my stream, if they just look up Tom Foolery on YouTube, they'll find you, or do you have a specific link you could put on stream so they could see it?
Yeah, it's I think I actually have it here. Let's see. I don't know if they can see that.
Let me see. I can.
There you go. It's YouTube / Tom Foolery Show. Everything else is / Tom Foolery PC, but on YouTube it's / Tom Foolery Show.
Got it.
Hey, Small Forest. Nice to see you, man. Pink Boys.
Okay, well, yeah, a whole lot of nothing right now. I hope you guys are doing well. I guess this gives everybody time to catch up.
Chud might be on his own here on the left.
That's all right. I like those. Let's go. Come on.
I will steel man the lefty positions and jump on his side.
I'm sure we could find two left wingers real quick.
On
Twitch, we could have.
I do always have alternates, but I haven't talked to them in like 2 or 3 days. So normally, like I'm talking to them the whole time, making sure that they're still ready.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, I haven't talked to any of my alternates to make sure that they're actually ready. But I do know, like I'm sure Danabo.
What?
The dog came on.
Oh yeah,
no,
he's cool.
Not right now.
All right, I'm taking my headset back off again. I gotta focus.
What's up, Valley? We're waiting for people to show up to the panel. They were late. They're also on the left. I don't know if that's, we can blame the whole left for that, I guess. So. Oh, this doesn't work for this one. I forget we're not in Discord, so I can't just use my keybinds, which is unfortunate. I'm blaming Biden for this.
I mean, that's the standard at the moment, right? I mean, look, to be fair, let's be real for a second, though. Like, listen, I'm obviously no Trump fan, but the mainstream media had their hay and ate it with Trump. So, maybe it's time for a bit of revenge on that front. I don't know.
Yeah, there we go.
Don't you have to be sentient to cause problems?
That's good.
What?
What kind did you get?
I don't know.
I mean, the people.
I think McSperry.
We blame the people.
It's the same as yours.
Biden's handler.
It's the same as it. Get out of here.
This is a very awkward position for me because I'm kind of committed to never defending Biden because I'm not like a liberal and I'm not really interested in defending like the president of the United States. So I don't know. You've kind of got me on the ropes here, to be honest. I don't know. I guess I will offer some defense. Why? Fuck it. Why not? I think for me, with Biden, it seems to me like it's his stutter that causes him issues. If you actually like hear him like in a speech for 30 minutes, like generally he's fine. There is, although there is the theory that he's a hologram, so maybe there's something in that. I don't know.
He's not. He's okay on the prompter.
Right.
Sometimes, but once he's off that, like, where am I supposed to go? Who's my wife? Who's my sister? Like,
What was I saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless he loses his spot on the prompter, and then that's not great either. I actually think it's sad. Like, I don't do it to make fun of him. I
me neither.
really do think it's sad.
Right. You can say what you will about Obama, but Obama was like a very smart guy that, like, he certainly was cognitive of everything around it. Like, I don't think anyone in their right mind would accuse Obama of having any sort of like mental issues or anything like that. Sure. So it's just kind of stark to see, because Biden, you know, as a person who lives in a conservative area of the world, you want to know what people thought of Biden while Obama was there? They would put all these memes up like Biden was like the best friend ever. Like, he was just like, hey, Barack, I ordered a bunch of pizzas. Like, that's what everyone around here thought of Joe Biden. And then once he got in the limelight, it was like, ooh, this is a step down, not at least stylistically, from Barack Obama. I think anyone could admit that. But yeah, I don't make fun of him. I mean, I'll joke just to joke, but I honestly feel bad. You know,
I'm sure you do.
Oh, Rob,
so
is
you're
it
very
streaming on
deeply
Twitch?
concerned about his health, I presume. Is that what we're saying?
Now, I think that one of the biggest fears I have in my life, because I've seen relatives go through it's dementia and Alzheimer's, and so I don't like seeing anyone go through the beginning steps of that. You know.
Hello.
Well, hang on a second.
Can you here one second, guys? Aiko, can you say a couple things so I can check your audio?
Hello, hello.
Cool. Yeah, you can hear me, okay?
There's
Some people
like some
said
kind
I
of
was a
background
little-
noise.
I'm not getting any background noise.
It's like a little fuzz. Or is that anyone else?
Yeah, no, I hear that too. There's a little fuzz.
Is that me? Hold on, let me.
I heard that too.
Yeah. Did you just turn? It's coming from you.
That's what I thought. I turned my mic up to the max because everybody said I was quiet.
Yeah, don't do that.
I mean, you could just talk louder. You know, that's the thing too. You say
American Nacho is kind of loud.
You say it with your chest.
In proportion.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Let's try this then.
We could use Discord.
I know, right?
We could not use Discord. So on this, if your video or anything lags just a little bit, it'll automatically line up your audio with the video. It'll keep it on there the whole time. You know how lots of times you see people on Whereby where their audio is not lining up? All right, how's that?
Nope.
Yeah, but we can't adjust each other's volumes either, so.
Is that better?
I don't know. Yeah, it's fine, I think.
Yeah.
Aiko, in comparison to Nacho, is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And is
Mic
there
check. Hello.
background fuzz?
I haven't heard everyone. Hey, Chud.
Hey, how's it going? Okay, you good?
Yeah, are you feeling okay?
I'm fine. My throat's a bit hoarse, but you know, I'll pull through. I'm sure this is going to be very civil. I'm sure we won't need to shout, so it'll be fine.
You can just write. You can type in the chat what you want.
Okay.
Me yell for you.
Sounds good. Okay, that's a good.
What is that warning
Like,
for,
check
Liquid?
the other
Is
two,
the
Daniela.
volume messed up?
Can you say something?
Let me know what the volume is like.
I'm just assisting Tom because sometimes I listen to his videos and I'm like, whoa.
Are you serious?
That was
I already checked everybody else's.
Why are you saying abort?
You're awake.
Tom, you have fuzz and you
I mean,
don't
I can
even
stream
know
this
it.
on my channel.
Yeah,
Like,
I asked everybody if there was fuzz, and they didn't tell me.
Check.
really
Yeah,
don't.
okay, I think we're good.
I really don't think it's
So I
going to
don't
be
have
that
fuzz now. Then, right?
big of a deal.
A
I already
little
did
bit,
one.
But it's fine.
I already did one where he
Just
was
say it
on
with your
panel. I'll just
gut.
delete the VOD.
And you'll be fine. I didn't know that you had to
I mean, she's not banned, right?
wait 24 hours after you activate the streaming thing on YouTube.
Wait,
So-
Oh my gosh.
Weird.
hold on.
Was everyone else so much more
How about
worried about
that?
this? I've already
Yeah.
done a
What did
stream
you
with
do?
Tom and nothing
Oh
happened.
my goodness, I was on my freaking camera audio.
Oh my
Oh
god.
no!
Okay.
Yeah, that's much clearer.
Your boomer is showing.
It happens.
Like, why?
It happens. We're all professionals here.
What a boomer.
At least it's not me.
Okay. Irene has to restart her computer. I gotta finish typing this up, and then we should be ready to go in about 5 minutes. So that's why I normally tell everybody we start at 9:15, because it normally takes everybody 15 to 20 minutes to actually get in here. So
It's good to lie to me about time. It's always good. But I have to believe it, so I also have to lie to myself.
true.
Don't we all?
All right. Let me. Hold up.
All right, then. I guess we'll fix this. We'll do this because, I mean, it doesn't really make a difference to me, honestly. I don't see this being anything like controversial enough to get any kind of like ban, so I don't understand why it would be. We'll do this anyways.
Oh wow!
I'm just giving you random.
I'm pretty sure Ico's stream. I'm pretty sure Ico
advice.
Rules is also. Like
I had music playing, but if
Holy
I do,
cow,
it's
dude,
going
this
to go into
audio gonna
all
be
of your
jacked.
streams as well. Well, you're not streaming, so it's going to go into everybody else's stream as well.
Well, that's the point, right?
Well, I guess if none of them are talking to their streams, then
I don't see mouths moving.
Is it fair use music?
I can mute. Yeah, it's
always. What did I do?
What is the audio for music through Streamlabs is always so scuffed, man. I mean, but it's not TOS because first of all, you can't even see them. And like, okay, if it was like an Alex Jones type thing, and then you have him on there and he's saying a bunch of crazy stuff, then yeah, I could see how you would get banned. But I honestly don't see how. But yeah, whatever. We'll switch just because.
Congratulations! Wow, there it is.
Let's just do this
like a pro.
Let's do this. Okay, guys, we're gonna raid over to my channel because we don't know if he's gonna get Uber banned or something. So,
let's see.
We'll do this just in case. Let's join the raid. We'll be live. And I don't know, I guess just make sure you're fresh once you get over there. So the views count for a homie. But yeah. I mean, none of this should matter, but we'll see. Alright. Alright, we're just gonna mute that for a minute. Let's do this. Okay. Let's just Google it.
Alright. Did you guys see the thumbnail?
Let's see. Can we
cool,
stream with other band Twitch streamers?
Oh, the picture of all of it?
Yeah.
I look very disappointed in it already.
Okay, let's see.
Like, is this a prediction of how I'm gonna feel?
You can't really see.
Look at this picture he got of me, bro. I'm sick, man. This is
That
lit,
picture of
dude.
American Nacho is awesome.
Yeah, he's got my
I love
cowboy
that he
hat,
got this picture.
except it's like flipped.
It's great.
Dude, I'm so glad you used that picture of me. I wish you would have asked me. I could have sent you like the full resolution picture though.
Oh yeah. I was in a rush today to get it done. I meant to do it in the last couple days, and
I definitely would have sent you that full resolution.
I was at work and just decided to get it all done.
I'm doing my Destiny cosplay before I cut my hair. You guys like this?
It's nice.
You can out Destiny. I should have let my scruff go out on the sides here though.
I don't know what your hair looked like before.
I usually wear a beanie,
really
or it's
long hair.
it's pretty short usually, but
Didn't you have really long hair when I first met you?
no.
I
No.
could have sworn you had
Been pretty
thought
short.
you had hair down to your shoulders.
Oh
when I
no,
first
I
met
haven't done that since middle school.
Wow, dude. I was totally thrown off. The whole time I was talking to you, I thought you had long hair.
No, I think most of the times that we were in a panel, I was actually wearing a beanie. So I don't know.
I think you were wearing a beanie. I just thought
Maybe you
had
just
long hair.
imagined me with luscious locks in your dreams.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Well, I started wearing a hat while I stream because I'm balding. So I figured.
Nice. You
Same.
shave it, bro. Dude, the bald bro thing is lit.
But
Well, see,
shaving is a pain in the butt, dude.
Right.
I can't
Oh,
do it
yeah.
every day. Can't do it every day.
So hat it is.
Yeah.
I have hair everywhere else. My hair just migrated from my head to my chin and shoulders.
I'm normally really good about shaving every day, and then in the last month or two, I was like, forget it.
I think it's that Mexican in me. I don't know. I have really thick hair, and my wife has really thick hair too. So we're like, dude, our kids are just gonna come out like Sasquatch, man. They're gonna be covered in hair.
Like the one of my do you ever watch Curb Your Enthusiasm? There's
Yes.
an episode where Larry's on the beach and he's wearing a woman's sun hat.
Oh yeah.
It's what the hell are you doing? It's a woman's hat. He's like, well, I give a fuck. I'm married. That's how I feel. It's
That's me.
it's
Yeah.
over for me. It's over for me. I don't care. My wife has to look at it. I don't.
I've got nobody to impress.
He's helping abolish gender.
That's it,
Yeah.
man. Oh man.
How do you have trouble finding the channel? There's a lot of tomfooleries out there, actually. If you just search tomfoolery on YouTube, my goodness, you're going to come up with a lot of stuff before you find me. Thankfully, the podcast finally got up to the top. You just Google tomfoolery. It's immediately the first 10 options is all me. But none of it's my YouTube channel. And I just shut down the podcast a month or two ago. So, but now I have a bunch of people hitting me up who want to come on the podcast. I just
All right, how about now?
Josh
What's that look like?
yesterday or the day before, he's done TED Talks and stuff like that. He's like, hey, I want to come on the podcast. So it's like, okay, cool. What about tomorrow? That's my only day off work. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. So now I got to go pay to redo my podcast and get it all set back up. Wait, did I just hear? Oh, yes, I did.
Hey,
You did indeed, yes. How is it going, everybody?
hello.
Great.
All
So-
right.
Hello.
Yeah, we got tunes in here too, huh? I didn't expect that. This is swanky.
Yeah, we were waiting.
Yes.
You were waiting for me? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Jamming
I
out.
didn't get here that much sooner, though.
Yeah. No, I mean I was all ready to rock, and then I realized that my computer was at going incredibly slow, so I just had to reset everything and try to get out from under it. How is everybody today?
Good.
Doing well.
Doing
Audio
well.
sound good from Irene? For everybody?
Oh my gosh. Tom, did you seriously the music was going seriously because you haven't gone live yet? You were waiting
No,
for
I'm
me like
live.
that?
We're
Okay,
live.
okay, good. I figured you. Yeah, that's why I'm talking like this in my professional, style streamer voice, not in my
What's your
more casual one. Yeah. So, but yeah. No, I was just making sure because I heard the music in here and I was like, wait, is this a StreamYards thing? Tell me about this.
Raiders,
Okay.
do you hear me?
Yeah,
Neil
yeah. You
Older,
can. Well,
good to
I can
see
just
you.
share my
I
audio.
actually just saw you on YouTube. I saw
Oh,
this.
I
So
see.
I can if
What's
I
going
wanted
on?
to, I can pull up just a specific Chrome tab as well and play a YouTube
What?
video on it, and I can make it
Oh,
full
I
screen.
love that. Oh, I
So
love
it's-
that.
Yeah, it's very cool. You go
That is
full
very
screen
useful,
with it.
yeah.
Or,
You could do some
whatever.
interesting streams with something like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is dope. All right, let me configure this. I guess I will go down here.
You're at the bottom
Yeah,
of the hierarchy.
that's
Well, no, Tom. Actually, if people don't
I mean,
know,
you
Tom
should.
exists outside of the hierarchy. Okay, the true Sigma.
You probably want to throw Chud down there since he's got no camera. Because that way, when you put comments up on the screen, they won't cover you out.
I'm not gonna put comments up on the screen during the panel, and I got the
Okay.
righties all up top, the lefties.
Okay,
looks
didn't
like
know.
one of
Okay,
those,
didn't know
like,
how you wanted to do it.
Looks like one of those Dungeons and Dragons like memes, like lawful good in the top left.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah.
Well, the conservatives are the good ones. What's that about?
Oh yeah, of course.
I'll go in evil.
They're on the side of God, Chud. You know, we're fighting.
That's right. Put us closer to God where we want to be. Okay, on top, baby.
All right, we gotta get started.
And just say that Nacho is really loud again. Can you turn down your thing?
I can
Sorry.
probably turn my gain down some too.
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm just.
Wait, which way is down? Hold on. This thing's upside down.
There.
Oh,
we have an
righty
overall
tighty.
audio?
Hello. Mic check.
I
Is that
can
better?
turn you guys up and down myself.
Oh well, okay, Tom. Okay.
Will it turn us up or down like for the rest of the stream, or just for you?
Hold on.
Okay.
No, I think I just have to turn y'all down on OBS.
Okay. Hello. Mic check.
Testing.
Hello.
Nacho, say something.
Hello. Mic
Okay,
check.
that's good. All right, Irene, we're gonna turn you down a little bit as well.
Testing.
Keep going.
Testing.
That's good.
1 2.
That's good for everybody else.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, cool. All right. Let's go. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Tomfoolery panel. Today we have on the left Ico Rules, Chud Logic, and No Comment Chick. And on the right, we have Rob Noor, Daniela Stumpy, and American Nacho. We'll go ahead and go around and let everybody introduce themselves. You can tell everybody where to find you, and even if you want to, tell them what topics you're excited about today. And then we'll go over some rules after that. So we'll start from the top left and go down the top first, and then down to Ico and across again. So, Nacho.
Hey, I'm American Nacho. I stream. I play video games. I just like being politically active. I like bringing more attention to this stuff instead of everybody being the skeleton in the closet that they're afraid to talk about. I think it's good that all of us are talking about this stuff. And so, yeah, that's my take on that. I'm really excited about, I think, the Georgia voter loss thing. I think that one's going to be pretty fun. I stream on Twitch and on YouTube. I stream for the Republican Nation on most nights, usually around like 9 o'clock, and as well as on my own channel. So you can find me at American Nacho on Twitch, and then at the Republican Nation on Twitch as well.
Awesome. Rob?
Yeah, my name's Rob Noor. You can find me on Rob Noor, as it's spelled there, all one word, on Twitch TV. I'm also on D Live at Normal America, and I'm on YouTube at Normal America with Rob Noor. I would call myself a conservative populist. My interest in streaming is I think that we see corruption in our government, particularly in the United States, but around the Western world. And I think that the government hasn't cared about working class people of any color or political affiliation for at least 50 years. And so they divide us with issues. We need to end this corruption, and then we could have discussions with, right or lefty economic policy and things like that. So that's where I'm coming from. I guess I'm excited for all three of these topics. I thought these were topics that I was all interested in, and looking to hear other people's opinions on it. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Daniela.
All right, I'm Daniela. I don't have a streaming show or anything. I do have a page I contribute to called When Truth Becomes Revolution. I would characterize myself as a conservatarian, which I definitely stole from Tom. Although I'm probably more libertarian than Tom, and I sympathize with anarchists. Kind of understand where they're coming from. Not a big fan of the government, just want to be left alone and want them to stay out of everything. But I do really enjoy talking about politics and ideas. So this is really fun for me. Super excited to talk about the Derek Chauvin trial because that's been really interesting. So,
awesome. Thanks for joining us, Aiko.
I see they've stuck
hello.
me on to the
I'm
right side.
Aiko Rules on
Definitely. I
Twitch.
should have just been all in.
I should have activated my YouTube streaming earlier, but them's the breaks. I'm here because Tom told me I had to be, even though I'm not on panels presently. I stream about I don't know. We never know what's gonna happen. But basically, politically, I don't want people to die in the street, for any reason. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, Aiko. You're a good friend. Chud.
Hey, it's me, Chud Logic. You can find me on all good social media platforms by searching Chud Logic. Unfortunately, big tech censorship, as we all know, targets the left quite a lot, so I've been banned from Twitter twice. You can, however, follow my producer
Disgusting
Chad
brain
on twitter.com as well.
This lady disabled.
I do mainly entertainment content.
Nice.
I'm here to entertain you. I do talk about politics. And give
Could
some
you guys do
political
me a
takes.
favor if
I'm
you're
interested in
if you're in this stream? Could you refresh, please, just for me?
Using sort of Marxist frameworks to look at how things are. And
my bot is like
kind of
tweaking out, and it's showing that there's 0 people in here. But then my other bot
and that's
says
me.
that
I'm
there's
looking forward to
definitely
speaking
people.
about
So
the Chauvin
I don't know
trial.
which one's
I
lying to
haven't really
me.
covered it that much myself, so I was doing a little bit of research for the panel. Just catching up with what's going on. So yeah, looking forward to talking about that.
Awesome. And then no comment, chick.
We out here, Nacho. Appreciate you guys.
Might
Thanks
want
for
to
being
unmute
here.
first. Hey everybody, my name is Big Red the Woke Scold. Oh wait, no, actually my name is No Comment Chick. I just got confused because I used Big Red in my thumbnail and just turned her hair blue. Because like I think she looks like an older version of me. This is like
I'm
the
here.
Karen that I'm gonna grow
Okay,
into.
Valley.
But anyway,
Appreciate you
yeah,
guys. Thanks for being here.
I'm caring for the concerns of marginalized
right,
people.
I don't
Oh my god, no, I'm actually making fun of the
I don't feel so bad about my
that's out
intro
there right
anymore.
now.
I wasn't ready to
So
go
I
first,
do,
but this makes me feel a lot
Twitch,
better.
Actually, debate analysis, like panels like Tom's. I love to watch with my chat, discuss in depth, pause it way too much, which some panel hosts are very sensitive about. Another thing that panel hosts are sometimes sensitive about is that I offer opinions about, you know, their decisions and you know, how they kind of impact not just the panel itself, but how the panel, you know, kind of affects
When did
the
media
world
start
outside
censoring
there
the
and our
left? Yesterday?
responsibilities as
I mean,
content creators
technically,
and,
there
you know,
there has been some
platforming and stuff like that. And that
some
is something
lefties
that
getting
certain
censored
content
more
creators
recently.
are very
So,
sensitive about.
but I mean, yeah,
getting their
it's been
pronouns right, maybe
mostly
not so much, but that's
it's
okay.
been mostly
But I love Tom Foolery's
geared
character. I
towards the
think it's
right.
one of the best
Well,
ones on the planet. I
recently,
think it's
all these
underrated.
platforms are
So if you
basically
watch my
censoring
stream,
anybody
you
who
see me on
speaks
other
against the
panels,
narrative. So
maybe
if you're on the left and you
have
speak
this
against the narrative,
level
you get censored too.
infinite regress. So right now, my image is inside my image is inside my image. And we've never had this perfect of an illustration of the concept that RGR was fucking right. Based RGR. Anyway, that's my take. I am No Comment Chick.
There was a lot of Antifa streamers that finally got banned after the election. They just needed to wait till after the election to start, you know, targeting them. So because they needed to use them and then discard them. You know, we know how
So
this
yeah,
goes.
and then I'm Tom. I go by Tom Foolery. I'm the moderator today. I run invite-only panels here every Thursday now on YouTube. We're doing them on Twitch for a while. I put them off, hoping that I was going to be back on Twitch, but it seems like the ban is still holding. So I'm going to ramp them back up on YouTube today. All of you have YouTube channels, so I figured I would invite you guys first. I appreciate all of you joining.
And let me know how the volume is, guys. I've adjusted it
like
a little bit.
Discord panels throughout the week.
I had to turn
I play video
this
games
down,
and
but
listen
this
to
whole
debates
stream,
and,
unfortunately, this is all
stuff
one
like
audio
that.
thing. So some people are
today's
louder than
rules,
others,
one,
unfortunately.
when I talk, nobody else talks. I won't be participating in the debates, but I might step in to ask like clarifying questions and things like that. Help in translation. I do speak righty and lefty fluently, so hopefully I can help in some translations. 2, we will have opening statements in each round. We won't have closing statements unless necessary, sometimes if it's still heated towards the end. we'll go into some closing statements, but most of the time, everybody's gotten what they have to say out by the end.
That
Each
is
topic should last
Daniela.
about 45 minutes.
She
We don't
doesn't
want
stream, but
anybody interrupting, though,
she
during opening
she promoted
statements.
a
That is
page that
just
she
your
likes to
time.
donate to.
Try to keep it at about 2 minutes or less. And then 3, I will stop.
Great.
for
That means
only,
he's going to put
or
me
stop
first.
and,
I
like,
don't even remember what
interrupt
the
for a
freaking
couple of
topics were.
reasons. 1, if you're talking for too long and we need to let somebody else in. 2, if you're interrupting too much. And then 3, for gish galloping. Sometimes let's clarify this. If you're going over like 3, 4, 5 different points at once, most of the time we want to go point by point. So gish galloping is technically when you give numerous points at once, to where it's hard, especially on a panel, for them to refute all 5 points. So if you try to keep it at 1 point at a time, if nobody tries to challenge that first point, go on to 3 or 4 or 5. I don't care. Just as long as nobody's trying to challenge them, then I will let you go. It's easiest if you try to start with your explanation and then move on and then finish with your point. Lots of times somebody asks you a question, you want to start with the answer and then go to the explanation. But if you want to be able to explain, it's probably best if you start with the explanation and finish with the answer. We will allow interrupting and things like that, as long as, like, the person who's being interrupted is okay with it. Outside of that, we'll try to give the time back to the person who was talking. Does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
All right, cool. We will move on to the first the first topic, which is, should or will Derek Chauvin be charged and or convicted with murder? We are going to start just like we did with the intros. We'll start with Nacho, and then we will. Let's see. Actually, let's start on the other side. We'll go Daniela, and then no comment, Jake.
Okay. Should he be charged with murder? Well, he's being charged with unintentional homicide. 3 separate counts characterized in 3 separate ways, which I think is really interesting because the narrative in the media has been that this was on purpose and he's evil and he's a racist. But I don't know how why a racist would unintentionally kill somebody. It seems like they would intentionally kill somebody. But regardless of that, I think that's really interesting that all the charges are unintentional homicide. And as far as whether or not he can be convicted, I don't know. I don't know that the prosecution has been able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was a significant contribution to the death of George Floyd, and that if he was, it was due to unlawful conduct, which are 2 things they would need to prove. And I don't know that they have yet.
Okay, we'll go to no comment, Jake.
So, should he be charged with murder? Yes, in a just society. We don't live in that society, though.
Gish galloping Grove's gonna have a hard time.
What they can. I think they are
just for the summer,
pursuing the most justice that's realistic to expect to be possible.
I like
but
the
will
dark
it
hair,
actually
man.
happen?
She's a very beautiful
it doesn't
woman.
seem to. It doesn't seem to. It seems like there's been a pattern here of constant just negligence on the part of the judicial system, a certain way of looking at these things and always seeing the negative in the victim, and always assuming giving the benefit of the doubt to the officer involved in the killing. So I'm not expecting anything too much, but it seems like the judge, they're holding their cards close to their chest. So, we'll see. The closing statements are on Monday.
I think so. Yeah, I thought they were tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
No, the closing statements were today, and then their
deliberations are
the deliberation all week, right? And then they're coming back Monday. I think that's what they said.
No comment.
Or both sides have rested their case. I don't know exactly how this works.
Are my eyes tripping me out, or is Chud logic? Yeah, I was about to say he's moving.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got. his
Perfect.
icon for Chud Logic, and I've got my icon for Chud Logic. Mine is actually animated, so I don't know if he wants
Perfect.
to borrow that instead. Yeah, you're singing.
Listen, I'm
Tomato
fine,
Town.
thanks.
Wait, can I turn it on Tomato Town or will it DMCA?
Well,
Probably DMCA.
Probably will.
Maybe we should just crack on with opening statements. Let's do that. Hey?
Yeah,
Can we
let's
just
do
play Fortnite
Rob.
instead.
Rob, go ahead.
Okay. So just to clarify, he's already been charged with the charges he has. So it's
Right.
will he be convicted? Will he be convicted? I don't know. He probably will be. The tragedy is that it probably still won't be justice because the jurors have to, in the back of their mind, know that there will be riots if they don't go.
Nacho, the only one
wants,
prepared
and
again.
that they
Oh
themselves
boy.
could personally be
I mean, not my
affected.
not my opening
Now,
statement.
onto
I
the
wasn't
specific
ready.
case
I was like
I don't
pulling
have
something up, and I
sympathy
was going
either
to type
way.
like a
I
little
thought that he was guilty of manslaughter.
little couple
We haven't
intro
had the
statements.
serial court system where there's due process and the presumption of innocence.
It's
And so
beyond
it's up to the
reasonable doubt. Yeah,
prosecution to prove their
dingus.
case. The prosecution has to prove two things in order to find him guilty of second degree or of third
came
degree
late,
murder
that's
or
all right.
second degree manslaughter. I
This
think
whole
the
thing
charge of
was
second degree murder is nonsense because that would have
late.
to prove intent on Chauvin's part, which I don't think they've even made an argument that he had intent. So they would have to prove the following things: one, that Derek Chauvin operated and evinced a disregard for human life and basically operated outside the scope of his training, and second, that that was the primary cause of death. So we could talk about both of those causes, but I'm most interested in the first because the person that we should look at that would know whether or not Chauvin operated within the scope of his training was the person that made that training manual and that trained Derek Chauvin, and that was Lieutenant Mercel. And he gave a lot of reasons to put what I think is probably a reasonable doubt that actually Chauvin could have been operating within the scope of what he had been trained to do. And if that's the case, then he's not guilty of these things. So we'll see how it goes, but I think that's where the interesting conversation is.
Okay. Yeah, the question was specifically charged and or convicted both because you may not think that there was enough evidence or that some of the charges that they gave him was overcharging him. So
then the second degree murder was an overcharge, and certainly first degree would have been an overcharge. The rest I'm fine with.
Hey Rob, on that idea that like if he's following the training manual, he's not culpable. I mean, like maybe not like legally, but I mean, do you see like certain historical?
This is opening statements.
We're gonna wait.
Sorry, I thought we were in real stuff. Okay, sorry.
No. We're gonna go to Chud Logic and then American
Chud.
Nacho and then Aiko. Go ahead, Chud.
Sorry, can I clarify something real quick?
This is already out of
Or we can do it
control.
later.
Wait.
The second degree murder charge in Minnesota, as it's being applied, is unintentional.
Yeah, it doesn't need intent. Correct. All right, Chud Logic, go ahead.
Sure. I mean, I'd be very surprised if anyone would argue the case that Chauvin shouldn't have been charged. Like, I'm fairly certain most people agree that there was enough evidence to at least charge the guy. I mean, you just have to look at the videotape. I think that's enough evidence in itself. Further to that, in terms of whether he'll be prosecuted, I mean, obviously it's an ongoing case. I'm not a legal expert. However, there has been some pretty damning people coming up to the stand. For example, in what I believe is a fairly unprecedented case, the police chief actually testified against Chauvin. Which in itself I think is pretty damning. I do kind of reject the framing of the idea that the jury are going to act in such a way as to placate the mob. I think that's a ludicrous assertion because if we look at the history of the prosecutions of police officers that have committed an act or been accused of something, more often than not, they're let off the hook. So yeah, I think the precedent here is actually Chauvin being let off. The president isn't him being prosecuted. But yeah, I think that based on what we've seen from the trial, fairly certain that he will be prosecuted on at least one of those charges.
All right, and then American Nacho.
Oh, whoops. Sorry, I couldn't find my mute thing on this thing. Yeah, so I think should he be convicted? I'm kind of in the same boat as Rob. Like, I'd like to know. I know I saw the same testimony as far as like the police chief like testifying basically against him, saying like this is not a technique that they use. But I don't know how long ago he was trained. Like, hasn't he been in law enforcement for like 20 years, something like that? So it could have been something that he was trained in, and then now there's a new training process. So if that's the case, I didn't see that in any kind of defense. That would have been something that I would have used in my defense. So, I mean, if that's the case and that's not part of the training, then yeah, he's responsible by negligence. But if this was training, then I don't see how he's responsible. And as far as like, will he? I don't know. I'm leaning towards he probably will. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I have more, but we'll get into that.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, Aiko, go ahead.
Okay. It wasn't just one officer that testified against him. Also, there's the police. It's the lieutenant who was talking about like exactly what Nacho just said. How it wasn't a part of the training. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
this was
it
like
was
the
stuff
retired
that
lieutenant
you
that we
don't do. You
watched.
don't like put your knee on someone's like neck, and also like I mean, if you stomached watching some of the footage, I think it's pretty clear that I mean, whatever
Aiko got
his
no hubby.
intent was, what I mean, does anyone go into something like that being like, "I'm going to murder you?" Like, I think that what it shows is, like, a complete, lack of regard for life and probably, yeah, definitely, racism, and I think that it is,
Oh, the racism
if
take.
you see something
Come
that
on.
looks like mob outrage to you, it's because of this happens all the time where there's no consequences. The problem is that when something like this happens, uh, the police, they are nearly bulletproof when it comes to, like, their unions and, yeah, like, what's his name? Shit, the guy who, um there's so many people. There's, like they decided not to, charge never mind, I'll have to look up the person I'm talking about, but anyway, yeah, he should definitely be charged with all of these things. As for punishment, like, I don't know,
Dingus.
I don't know what the
Shown as 100
appropriate
pounds, floated
punishment is,
230.
but,
This is standard procedure
he
on this.
seems like a
Yeah,
very
I'll get into that,
twisted
Valley. It's not
person,
like.
and yeah, that's him.
It's just they had him handcuffed. They
Rob,
had
we'll go
control of
to you
him.
for
Like,
first rebuttal. Go ahead.
Sure. Daniela, I actually believe is incorrect. So murder in the second degree in Minneapolis, it's whoever does the following is guilty of murder in the second degree and may be sentenced to imprisonment for not more than 40 years. 1, causes of death of a human being with intent to effect of the death of the person of another, but without premeditation. So the second degree murder charge actually does require intent. The third degree does not, nor does the second degree manslaughter. But the second, and there has been no claim of intent offered by the prosecution whatsoever. So I do want to say real quick that the feelings, like personally, whether like I know No Comment Chick was about to ask me, like, is following orders a justification? Yes, it is. Even the prosecution admitted. If no one likes what happened, I don't want George Floyd to die. I don't think anyone in this panel or anywhere else would argue that. The point is, though, we have an assumption of innocence, and if there was if he operated within the scope of his training, then the fault doesn't lie with Chauvin. It lies with the training. And even though the police chief did say in a very rudimentary way that this wasn't a hold that was trained, that is belied by 2 things. 1, actual images presented at trial that showed that this exact type of neck restraint using your knee is shown. A picture of that is shown in their training handbook. And 2nd, the actual person that created the training curriculum and that trained officers, I don't know if he directly trained Chauvin, but was in charge of training officers while Chauvin was charged, that guy's going to have more to
what's up,
speak
low
about whether or
mofo?
not this was a hold that Chauvin was trained in
I
or
bet the
not.
pregnant lady
He
had
talked about a use
have
of
different
force
feelings. Like,
continuum,
what?
and when you talked
Sorry,
about all the
feelings are
specific factors such
facts
as
to back to
drug
our
use
statement.
of Floyd, the size advantage of
Oh,
Floyd,
we're
the
gonna
fact that
find
Floyd
out.
was fighting with 3 officers.
Yeah,
This
we're
sounds
Danny
like
back.
the
Danny's
drama
back. It's all
all
fine.
over again, Rob. Like you're
Trade-
talking about
Also,
the size of the
thank you
person. You're talking
for the
like this
follow.
is the
Appreciate that.
maybe he's on drugs. What are we dealing with here, Rob? Like why do you
George-
always why do right wingers always say this about black people that get killed by cops?
Real quick,
Wait,
and George
what?
Zimmerman was found innocent or was found not guilty. in
Yeah,
Chauvin.
yeah. There's another.
So you're
fucking,
making my
and there's
you're
another
making my
guilty man
point.
running around.
You're
Yeah,
feeling.
you're
Listen.
making my point for me,
If we're having a conversation
Rob, what
on
does
the
that
feelings,
say about the institution of the
I'll give
police?
you.
The
I'll
fact
give
that
you
that
plenty of
training
time
was
to
in the
respond.
manual. Rob, explain the training
I'll
being
give you
in that
plenty-
manual. Deadly training in the manual. What does that say? If that's your excuse, okay, and we let this guy off, What does that say about the institution of the police? If you're not going to convict this guy, you've got to convict the very institution of the police. Rob, are you prepared to do that today?
So again, what we can see is like
it is deadly. There is not
Right.
enough evidence of that at the current moment. So that's an emotional argument based on no evidence.
That's not
Do you not have emotions about this?
Right.
What's going on? Can you be cool and calm and
The way
collected
this-
about this injustice that keeps on carrying on and on and on?
If I may, what we'll see from this panel, Mike, what we'll see is what you often see. One side is going to be looking at the actual testimony that occurred within
One side
the trial.
can't think of
and
how to counteract my arguments, so you're trying to paint a false narrative.
The other
Rob,
side is
come
just
on.
going to
Come
scream
on,
and
Rob.
interrupt and talk about. The other side will just
Interrupt,
scream and
Rob.
interrupt and talk about
Is it-
motion.
are you gonna accuse me of gish galloping next, Rob?
Again, what we could see is they can't stay on focus and talk about the
I
actual
think you
points
can't
of
stay
the
on
trial.
focus because you're fucking rattled, dude.
Okay,
You don't
I'm
have
not
enough-
rattled at all.
What are you offering as your argument? Are you going to convict
Me.
the police as
Alright,
an institution? Rob, once again, police as the institution or the man?
Okay.
We're gonna let Rob finish real quick.
What
and then you
the
Can you answer my question, though?
What is
if you wanna
happening?
reiterate your question.
For the third time? I think let's give him more time to think about it because he fucking can't answer.
I don't need time to.
Oh, what are
I'm
you?
waiting
Then
for
why are you fucking like? Well, what we're gonna see here today is you're the storyteller. Why are you like doing a narrative? Why are you the narrator? Like you're
I'm waiting for
pausing,
you
you're
to stop.
stalling.
I'm waiting for you to stop
Not-
flapping
not
your
time
gums
for
and
this.
interrupting.
I'm
That's
flapping
what
my
I'm doing.
gums, Rob.
Okay.
What is that kind of boomerism?
I
Flapping
mean,
your gums.
this is going to be a worthless panel. I can see this already.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
you
Well, we've
know
got
that,
one
Chauvin,
worthless
but I'll answer.
panel
If
member,
you,
so.
if you would just be quiet for a second, I'll answer. Yes, as I said previously, if we're looking, the question that was before us was whether or not he will be convicted and if he should be convicted. And when discussing that, we should discuss what's going on in the trial. I said that if you think what happened to George Floyd was heinous, but it was within the scope of training, then clearly we need to change the training. That does not mean that Chauvin is guilty.
Training. Okay.
Right.
So what
Right,
kind
and-
of an institution produces deadly training
Wait,
like that,
wait,
Rob?
no. The training. This is not the training. Is the point? Like more than one of the people. I think what you were referring to. His former supervisor. Rob,
The
is
person
that
that
who-
trained him. Yeah,
But-
the trainer.
Yeah.
But what are the images? You said they showed images.
They did
He
show images.
specifically-
Okay,
images
but I'll try to find them.
specifically- Hold on one second.
Yeah, sorry.
He specifically said that it is not a part of the train. Like when Floyd stopped resisting, he should have immediately stopped.
That's not what he said.
That's not what he said.
No,
We're gonna find this
I
boy.
just-
boys.
So what was asked upon direct? This was Lieutenant Mercel, again, the person that was responsible for crafting the training
Oh, that's a
program.
different person.
Thanks for the follows,
Right,
guys.
so
Appreciate
what
you.
Lieutenant Mercel was asked by,
Why do so many
he was
people
called by
judge
the
what they don't
prosecution,
understand?
and
All
on
these
direct of
damn
prosecution, he was asked
archers
whether or
in the
not you
afternoons.
would put your knee in someone's
Commentators.
neck for 9 minutes. And he
Yeah,
said,
well,
The problem
this is
was
our
that
job,
we
okay?
now
Slaying
all put
bodies.
together
Our job is to
so
come on here and just
when there was an attempt for cross-examination. What ended
and
up
just give
happening
our
was
worthless
the
2
defense
cents.
asked Lieutenant Mercel about all
Hey,
the specific
Tiger Fells.
situations. Is it justified to continue to
Not you. You
restrain
need to
someone
moderate.
even though
Oh, this
they're
isn't my
because they
panel.
can
This
get
is
up and do more
Tom's
activity?
panel.
Yes.
If it
Does
goes
drug
crazy, it's
use
going
factor
crazy. I'm
into
not going to
this?
step in
Yes.
and
Does
moderate.
the size of the person factor in?
This
Yes.
commenter
Does the
chick,
fact that
I
this
don't
person
know.
was fighting with multiple
I think
police
so.
officers and they couldn't restrain him
Evidence
previously,
shows that pressure
yes.
does not cause no
Does the
injury.
fact that
Training
there's
is
a
not a
mob there
problem.
that's yelling that
Okay.
they're going to whoop their pussy asses, the cops factor in?
I have
Yes.
look.
Does the
I have
fact that
issues
the
with that
paramedics
type of restraint.
wouldn't
As long
even
as you're
first
not
aid when they
like
showed up because
in
they
long
showed up
durations, like there's no
virus
need for it.
Yes,
the fact
and
that
then
we
Mercel-
also
That's my only take.
matter.
I'm like,
Not gish galloping, Rob.
okay.
It's not
Let me
gish
just try to
galloping.
find this.
Making the
I'm
point.
not demon
She
mom.
So I wanna make
Okay,
this
I'm not
on,
gonna let you fucking go off.
Okay.
You're not letting-
Yeah, that's right, Rob.
Just
You
this
never
is not going to be.
kryptonite
You're
tonight.
asking him. Wait, but hold on. You're asking him questions and then you're just talking over him. You have to let him answer if you ask him a question.
Let's just,
No, he
bring
just
it-
pivoted away from my
wait.
fucking question like
Wait.
8 times. What are you talking
No, I
about?
Let's just bring the temperature. Let's bring the temperature down a little bit. Okay. Right. Sorry, Tom. I don't want to take over. You go ahead and say what you need to say, but I'm a bit concerned.
I
we're
was
getting
going to
a bit
hand it over
heated.
to you, buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah. What I'd like to ask you, Rob, is why are you so dismissive of the testimony of the police chief?
There's a reason my overlay is covering him.
Police chief
Oh
was
wait,
very
it's
simple.
covering me
He was
now,
asked
isn't
if
it?
he
He
would
moved
put your
himself.
knee on someone's neck. Now, keep in
Oh,
mind, he's
dear.
a political
Whoops.
appointee. But even aside from that, right? Who would you trust
Wait,
more? Like, if I'm looking
sorry.
I'll explain. If
No,
I'm
no,
a jurist,
no, wait. You said he's a
Jeez,
political
this
appointee.
dummy
I just
moved
want you to
himself.
elaborate on that. What do you mean?
But he was he wasn't someone that had been in the
gonna
office
get me
for
in
like
trouble.
20 years that worked his way up. He's someone that was voted on, and he was
Wait, what?
I don't know if he was voted
Thoughts
on.
on the Jews?
Merkel?
Yeah, we're not getting into
Yeah.
that.
No, not
Frenin.
Mercel, the chief. I
You
believe
can
he was a
miss
political
me with the
Wait,
Jewish
I'll just
supremacy,
answer
you got-
race
I-
realism
I-
stuff.
no,
Sorry,
wait,
like
wait,
I lean
wait,
right, but I'm
wait,
not.
wait, political appointee,
I'm not. I'm not
what
getting
you
into
got
that.
to point to finish with?
Let me see here.
Is he political
I
appointee?
did Chauvin's
I mean,
actions.
I mean, you
there are
know,
a lot of
I feel he was
people,
guilty no matter
like,
what.
in,
Yeah,
like,
I
actual,
mean
it's a
that's
pretty
kind of where I'm
big
at,
deal
slaying
when
bodies. I don't know.
Actual
Not
officers
fully on
and
him though. Like I feel like
like
the drugs
In the
played a
case
role.
of-
I think
if
I
I
feel like
may,
it's assisted suicide
So
almost.
in the
Like
case of Chief Arenado, for example, he was appointed to his position by the chief of the mayor of Minneapolis, Mayor Frey. This is obviously a political appointment by a political official who is effectively Chief Arenado's boss, and that makes the chief's job a political job, not a cop job.
okay. What source is that you're
Okay,
using?
so yeah,
Sure, I'll post the
sorry,
link.
go ahead.
Sure.
Um,
But just to answer real quickly,
Sorry, go on,
I
go
would if we had two different police officers, regardless of the rank, both testifying about a specific use of force event. One of them was someone that is high ranking, and the other one was the person who specifically crafted the use of force model and trained people in that use of force model. I would assume the person that crafted and trained would have more of an expertise of what Chauvin would have been taught than the chief of police.
right. Except there wasn't just two. And wait, which person were you talking about that trained? Are you talking about Mercel as the trainer?
Correct. Yes.
He did not train him.
He created Lieutenant Mercel. He was brought forth by the prosecution. The first 20 minutes of his testimony were establishing his bona fides. He talked about he works in the MPD training division in charge of use of force training and policy instruction. He was active in that capacity during the period preceding the Floyd events, during which Chauvin would have received his department use of force training and policy instruction. Mercel talked specifically about how he was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor and that he fell in love with that. And that's why they developed this curriculum, because they realized that it was less force to be able to use your body weight to restrain someone than strikes and things like that. So this is a person that crafted the training. Yes.
He also did say that you are not supposed to restrain someone like that unless it's like your only option. He said it's called like a red zone, where you can really seriously injure or kill someone if you do that. So yeah.
So I could read exactly. I could. At the end of Mercel's testimony, cross-examination, after they went through all the factors that I was trying to say, all the questions that he was asked by the defense team, these were the last two questions he was asked. Are there circumstances like those already discussed where it would be appropriate to maintain presence of leg across the shoulder blades and back in order to ensure control of the suspect? Yes, there are, Mercel answered. For as long as 10 minutes, it's possible. That is reasonable doubt. So they went through all the factors that led to this situation that Chauvin did, and they ask him as the final question: Is this justified given these situations like this? Would it be justified given all the things we just asked you? He says yes. They said even for 10 minutes, he says it's possible. Now remember, they only have to have a reasonable doubt. And so if I'm a jurist, again, I don't have skin in this game. I thought that by looking at it objectively, just from what we saw before the trial, it looked like Chauvin was probably guilty of manslaughter. The problem is the prosecution has to prove it. And if their own witness that they called wasn't properly, either he's A, just telling the truth and it's devastating for the prosecution, or B, he was underprepared. But as a jurist, that's the testimony I'm most interested in, because he was responsible for training Chauvin or creating the program that trained Chauvin. And even the prosecution has admitted that if they can't prove that Chauvin operated outside of this scope, he's innocent of all charges, which I could read that comment if you want as well.
All right, we're gonna get a couple other people in here real quick.
Danielle,
Danielle, yeah, go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to quickly say before, I'll cede my time after this. Basically, the website that you've used as your source, Legal Insurrection, has a heavy right-wing bias, according to a. Okay, but you want. No, it's not irrelevant, is it? Because you're saying that this source is saying it's a political appointee. I'm pointing out to you that this is a right-wing biased source. I would argue that, the fact that chief of police, he's no more political appointee than any other chief of police is. And I believe that there's another reason that you believe this police chief was a political appointee, but I just think you're too afraid to say it because of how it sounds.
What's that?
I think the police chief is always an appointee of the mayor.
It is.
Like
Exactly.
everywhere.
So
It's
how
not
is
right.
it? So how is it that exactly? Thank you. So how is it that this you use the evidence that this person was appointed, that he's a political appointee? So how is this any different to any other police chief?
Oh, it wouldn't be. Who said it
He's
was?
on the other side. That's
You-
why.
you- no,
Is
you
that
said
the right
it
answer?
was.
Is that the right answer? Because he's on the other side of the case, right?
Wait.
Yeah.
You said earlier you used the fact that he was appointed by the mayor as evidence that he was a political appointee. Okay.
Right.
And now, but now you're saying that, that's
Free
not
no
the case,
comment,
which is-
chick.
Was he a political appointee or not?
If you give me a chance, I'm absolutely saying it's the case, as you just proved. Yes, he is a political appointee. Yes, all police chiefs, I think everywhere in the United States, are political appointees.
Why do you
the
only
point
point
is,
this one
just,
out?
just real quick, like if you ask me, just give me a chance. The point I'm trying to make is someone that's a political appointee might be looking at this through a political lens more than someone who's not a political appointee.
But they're all
That's
political
it.
appointees, right? Didn't we
No,
just
they're not.
establish that? Wait, no.
Is Lieutenant Mercel?
But we're talking.
No. I'm talking about police chiefs in general.
But why
like
is
that's
that
what
relevant?
police-
Why is that
Because
relevant?
when the police chief is on the other side of the case, you never bring that up. Now you're bringing it up. Now it's a big deal.
Prove that I've never brought it up in another case.
Okay, so wait. The point I'm making.
Tempt me with a good time, Rob. That sounds like a good YouTube video.
Wait. Let me finish, okay? So the point that I'm making here is this is unprecedented. To my knowledge, a police chief has never testified against a cop when they're in the dock or in a situation like this. So this is unprecedented that this has happened, but you just dismiss it as, oh, he's a political appointee. And I think you're kind of obfuscating the fact that this is a very significant factor of this case, which to me contributes to the idea that he's going to be prosecuted.
And just real quick, I'll say, I don't know that this is unprecedented. I would imagine there are situations where chiefs have testified against their officers. And second, I was just responding to the fact if we're saying, whose testimony should we favor more, the person who did the training or the police chief? I was just giving reasons. And the biggest reason's not that he's a political appointee, but that is a small reason. But the biggest reason is he didn't craft the training regime. He didn't train Chauvin. That was Mercel. So when we're talking about whether or not he was operating within the scope of training, that's the person we should listen to. That's it.
Well, didn't he say? He said that it violated police policy, ethics, and training.
No, he didn't. So again, what happened was
no?
the prosecution calls. So the way these things work is the prosecution first gets to call their witnesses and then the defense gets to present their case. So the prosecution called him as a witness. And first they go through his credentials, which again is a reason that we should trust him. That's the prosecution, not the defense. And then they started asking him questions. But the way they asked the questions, they said things like this. Is it appropriate to put your knee on someone's neck for 10 minutes? No, it's not. Do you train people that you should do that? No, we don't. The problem with this is the prosecution then gets to talk about the specific details. While it is true that they don't train people to put their knee on their neck for 10 minutes, it's also true that that one of the first thing Mercel testifies to is that actually that there are things that aren't specifically trained that are within justification for police to do if they feel the use of force continuum justifies it. Then they ask the specific situations, which I already went over some of those questions, so I won't repeat. And at the end of it, Mercel says, yes, I could see this being used. Mercel also testified that from a different angle, it actually appears as if the knee wasn't on the neck, but actually the knee was on the shoulder blades and it was the shin across the neck. And there's an actual picture in their training manual of that exact same hold.
I still feel like we're letting this guy weasel out of the question that I asked. And that's the question is, if the individual is not responsible because it was the training that caused the death of this man, you would say that you just got to change the training a little bit. I would say it's the institution that has to be fundamentally
right. But that's so
changed,
extreme.
right?
Like, obviously, we just need to
it's
stop
not
putting the knee on the neck. Like, why is it not enough to say, like, yeah, we don't need to put the knee on the neck?
Look, no, they're implementing deadly use of force as a part of their training. Okay, are you going to tell me that's a problem with the training, or is it a problem with the institution?
So what's your solution then? What's your solution then? Abolish the police. That's your solution.
My solution is that we get new cops.
All new. Just fire them all, right?
Good luck finding somebody.
Good luck finding somebody. Yeah.
I think we're moving away.
How about if we pay them a little bit more than what we're paying them now? How about if
that's probably a good thing too.
Professionals in our society
and not robots
and train them better.
That's fine. Actually, we can agree there.
Invest in better cops and use less of them and we should use different people because the ones that we got here now are just enacting fucking
we're not
power
here to
trips.
talk about this. Look, listen, we're not here to discuss the abolition of the police or whether we should or we shouldn't.
Well, no, but like Rob's argument implies that, Chud. Do you not understand that Rob's argument?
It doesn't,
if
though.
It's not the individual. Then where the fuck do we displace the like? Because this horrible crime went on, and there's somebody that's fucking culpable. If we're not going to say it's the individual, then we got to say it's the institution. This idea that it's just the training. That's bullshit. That's a patsy.
How? Why can't we just say it's the training? Why can't we just say it's the training and adjust the training? I mean, like.
Okay, can I just say something? They removed this from the training manual after this incident. So when they received evidence,
I guess it's all better now.
Was in fact deadly force, they removed it, or that it could end up in a deadly force situation. Again, no evidence, not substantial evidence yet that it was in fact the reason, but when it came to that sort of
wait, are you on that carbon monoxide thing? Is that what you're going to propose? What do you think is the reason?
What?
No, are you?
She didn't even finish what she was saying.
I just wanted to know what you meant. It's because I'm on a trampoline. It's okay. You should try it too. It's really good.
Okay.
It'll help your posture. Your posture's a little off.
From the manual,
that happens with
when they received evidence that it was in fact deadly
This chick's got to lay off the damn Adderall, man. This is not even. Most of the stuff she's on about is not even relevant.
Died. What the fuck? How is that the institution working?
How are they?
Does it not fucking matter? I guess we write that black man off. It's okay. There's any more where that came from. Oh my god! What kind of foolishness is this? This is monstrosity.
Because during a surgery that's not commonly done, somebody died, and now we need to shut down.
That's not a fucking surgery. That was a murder, and we all fucking saw it.
Oh my god! She's trying to give you an analogy. Jesus.
If I can, so for example, the second use of force testimony that was offered was by someone from LA named Jody Steiger. Jody Steiger actually testified that Chauvin would have been within his rights to actually use more force when he showed up on the scene. They consider the use of taser, although it's considered less than lethal, it still has the potential to be lethal. So the question I would ask you, no comment chick, you're saying if someone died, that proves that police
Facts,
are
dingus.
That,
no, that's not what I said. I said
Danny is based.
Horrible, Rob.
Okay, well that's what I'm saying.
That's what she does.
Do you think they should be allowed to use tasers?
Do I think they should
oh
be
my god!
to use
Please get
tasers?
everything that has nothing to do with this debate. Yeah,
expert
Belly, I'm
on
not
the
really
use of
sure
force,
what's
Rob.
going
This is
on.
not my
She's
area
just
of
screaming at
expertise.
everybody.
But here's why I bring it up. I just bring it up because you're saying,
they can be
well,
deadly,
someone
because we
died. Just real quick, you can answer. You're saying someone died from something that it looks like they could have been trained to do. Therefore, that shows that this is horrible. We need to scrap them. You know, people have died of taser use.
There's so many other reasons for this, Rob. But like, you know, I mean, like,
yes,
you're
no
always
comment
ignoring
chick
what I'm saying is
identifies as a she.
This man, okay?
Whether or not
Say
it's a
not his
biological
fault,
male or
blame it
female,
on the
I have no
training.
idea.
I ask you, what institution put that training into place? And we say that after the fact, after he died, they took the training out and they said, whoops, ooh.
But yes, let's be
that's kind of a bad
respectful
thing.
on Twitch, okay?
What guarantee
I
do
don't
we
want
have
anybody to get banned or
that every
whatever.
decision being made by
I
this
don't
institution
know what the rules
doesn't
are
have
for chat,
the
but I think we're
same
supposed to be
sort of bias
TOS
implicit
friendly,
in
which means
its
not doing
its
whatever. I
mindset
don't
that
know.
caused this
Transphobic.
this training to be implemented in the first place. It caused
I don't
this
know.
to be
I
the
just work
thing
here,
that was
okay?
in the fucking manual. The thing that that looks like murder to anybody, any fucking human being that watches that says, "What did you just see? I saw a murder. I saw a man purposefully fucking killed."
The problem is no one's argued that it's purposeful, not even the prosecution, because that would prove intent.
No one's offered it's purposeful because we know that cops fucking get off on everything, so they're trying to charge them with the bare minimum so they get him for something.
Is this what the stream's going to be? Just you irrationally screaming when anyone makes a point?
Yes, Rob, I'm going to be irrationally screaming. And I know it's not an argument.
Great content. Anyways,
no content.
The problem with your statement was you said it will all. How do we know that the rest of their policies don't come from the same bias? But we don't know that this was a matter of bias. Why there's a policy? It could be a matter of ignorance. Like what you're doing is.
Why do we have ignorant fucking people deciding our policy, Rob?
So,
the institution's
again,
fucked up.
if this is what this is going to be, just you yelling. I mean, it's worthless.
I'm sorry, Rob, but you pitched your voice. It's the only way to talk over your gish gallop.
Anyways, you keep saying words that don't make any sense in the context of what we're talking about. Anyways, we don't have any evidence.
The problem is, you cannot answer the question. This is your
I've answered the question.
That's why I'm facing you with it.
I've answered the question like 5 times. Anyways, please stop interrupting.
You want to just
Please stop interrupting. It's not a worthwhile conversation if you're going to interrupt and not listen to someone. So, anyways, the problem is that it's easy to look at things with hindsight being 2020, and it's easy to look at things from always the perspective of, well, the police could always do things better. That's probably true in any given situation with law enforcement. They probably could have done things even just a little better, even in stops that don't result in violence or anything like that. The problem is you have to understand when they're creating this training, they have to take in the accounts of police officers' lives, victims' lives, the suspects' lives, bystanders' lives, etc. And there is a need for a use of force. If we just approached it with any use of force that
Stop
ever resulted in someone's
our
death,
position, Rob.
I'm not strawmanning.
Like,
You're literally saying.
Hey, wait, no,
you're
you
literally
want to do a timer on this? How long has Rob talked?
So what?
Well, it's
what
time to
is-
Are we gonna let him just
interrupting.
go off and fucking gish gallop? Is everybody hypnotized here? What the hell?
No comment, Chick. What's the difference?
He hasn't been able to finish speaking.
Explain what it is.
I
that you
asked
feel-
him
A single
question, he
time.
fucking tried to answer it.
I've answered it
Hey,
several times. And
hey, Rob.
I just want to say,
Hold on.
I just want to say real quick that the police, they're obvious. It's not completely nefarious. We need to use force at some time. But I'm glad to have no comment Chick on here because you're a
Because you
great
can straw
example
man
of.
my fucking. Oh no, I got
You're a
the
great
blue hair,
example
dude,
of the
so
left.
definitely-
You're a great example of the left.
Let's do a black and white
I
fallacy,
think-
Rob.
I
Great
take umbrage
example.
with that. This is not a good representation
But
for
she
the
is
record.
Listen, can I be honest? Okay, look, with all due respect, Irene, I think we just need to simmer down a bit because, you know, we're trying a discussion here.
Thank
and
you
we're
very
going off-
much. But let's
No,
remember that a man died.
wait. Please don't interrupt me. Listen, you don't need to morally grandstand with me. I know that a man died, okay? But we're not here to discuss reform or abolition. What we're here to discuss, okay, is very simple.
What we're here to discuss is how this always slips culpability, how no one's ever punished, how
That's actually not what we're here to discuss at all.
Riots. Do you know what causes riots, Rob?
No one said anything about riots
Right,
right now. And listen, I am.
No, Rob did say something about riots. Aiko, pay attention. Pay attention or don't.
No, Irene, come on.
No, Aiko, you got to listen to him. He said that.
No,
I'm responding to that. Okay.
Listen,
You might have been zoned out from the WAP pot, but you know, yeah.
Listen,
he
look,
did say
I'm going
that.
to tell you. Listen. I'm going to tell you straight, Irene. I don't know what your
Okay.
goal is here, but you're making us look absolutely terrible and ridiculous. Please simmer down. For the
right.
love of
Good
God.
on you, man.
We're gonna
Good
go
on
to American Nacho. Let him get some words in before we move to the next topic.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much in agreement to a degree. Just to be clear, I want to ask Rob, if this is the training, we should stop doing this part of the training, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay,
I think
yeah, that's.
Yep.
Thank you. As far as going further into like revamping the entire institution, I don't know if I could get on board with that. Can we do better as far as like our police training, as far as like funding the police and getting more and more training into the police departments? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't think anybody's saying like nothing should be changed and everything needs to stay the way it is. This is fine. Like, while the building's burning down, I don't think anybody here is going to take that position. But as far as like, you know, completely turning everything upside down on its head, I don't know if that's the solution either.
Okay. All right. We will go ahead and move on to the second topic.
I would just like to say for the record that
I know you're not really that stoned. I'm sorry.
You know what? No, seriously, Irene, like you need to just stop. We're trying to help and you just have to stop.
You're losing to Rob. You're a feeder. Okay. Do you know what LOL?
No,
Yeah, you're feeding him.
No,
Feeder,
listen. This is something
And
else.
Chad,
I
you're
don't
a
know what's
simp.
going on.
I saw
but
you just like
did not
weekly
have
get
to
folded over by
insult me.
Dylan.
You didn't. No.
How is
stop
it?
talking
There's
about
no
Dylan.
pushback. There's no.
No one's losing here. This shouldn't be a political take anyways.
Hold on. Hey, guys,
If you can't do this, get somebody that can.
guys, everybody chill for just a minute. I gotta mute everybody. We can have these conversations. We can ask the same questions without the interrupting, without the yelling. We have to get through all of these topics. People have to be able to talk. They got to be able to give their points. We want to give everybody the time that they need to get their points out. So all of us, everybody, let's try to just simmer down a little bit, and we will we'll get through this. Okay?
Tom,
Yes.
Can I apologize really quick? I did interrupt, Rob and Chud and some other people, and I might have gone a little bit hard on you. But listen, I'm emotional about this because this is not just, another fucking day in America. And, oh, guess this didn't work this time. Let's try to tweak this little thing. This is fucked up. And you're going to see more riots, and you're going to see more social unrest, and you're going to see more fucking, just horrible shit unless we actually take this out and do something, dramatic. I'm not saying overnight just fucking Thanos snaps all the cops, out of existence and replace them with other people. But I am saying let's look at some really intense interventions, because this shit has gone really off rails, and the American people have been crying out for justice for years and years. That's why I'm so emotional. And you're right. I was a little inappropriate, and I'm sorry to anybody that I hurt. I really didn't mean to, but damn it, I'm not fucking kidding. I'm not fucking around. Okay.
I'm sorry, Irene.
I don't care if you buy it or not, Aiko.
No, that's fair
I
enough.
got fucking rinsed again. Listen, Aiko, you want to play?
That's fair enough.
See, what are you?
I'm trying to be nice. I apologize. What else do you want me to do? I apologize. Okay.
Yeah, she apologized.
Yeah, I'm trying to simmer down. Like Tom said, I'm sorry. Look, Tom's a good friend of mine, and I don't want to fuck up his panel. Okay, I just want to make it nice and spicy, but not too spicy. I know that's you got to strike that balance, and I've been too much on the spicy side, so I totally feel that, and I'll take that feedback and learn from it. Because unlike some other creators out there, I do accept critique.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate that. All right. Next topic is should the left/right denounce the more radical sections of their movement? Now, I think this is probably going to end up coming down to which side should.
Well, Aiko and Chud have already denounced me, so I don't know. I guess the answer is yes for the left. No unity whatsoever, no solidarity.
I don't know. No. They're not denouncing you. They were excited that you were on this panel. They like you.
Well, okay. Okay.
I promise. Sorry. All right, we're gonna start with Chud Logic this time, and then we'll go to Rob.
Sure. I mean, I think we need to define our terms. What do we mean by radical? Because wanting everyone to have healthcare in the United States is considered radical by some people. For example. So what does radical mean? I think that's an important aspect of this. I think in terms of should we hold our side accountable? For me, it's not a social club situation. I don't know everyone on the left. I'm not friends with them all. I think you can hold me accountable for my views and my perspectives and my actions. And that's totally legitimate. That's totally fair enough. If you're going to ask me to, denounce some, 14-year-old Marxist-Leninist who's going on about landlords or whatever, I don't feel that that's really my place to denounce that, So yeah. I would say, though, that, if you're using certain iconography or you're kind of associating, with certain radical groups, and I think that is something that the right do quite well, is they'll play the card of I'm just a conservative, whilst they play with the sort of the iconography of more radical, more far-right groups. Maybe that's something to be considerate of. But yeah, broadly speaking, I think once you're
going to have to calm down, brother.
And their own views, broadly speaking.
Are there actions on the left that you feel you would denounce, or actions that are more common on the left?
He saw Danny on the panel, and he's just been ogling now.
From the debate with
doesn't have a list.
Shut up, you narcissist. Oh yeah, Valley Facts. The behavior.
It's what do you call it? Antifa making lists of people that they want to dox because they feel as though they're Nazis or something like that.
I mean, I've spoken about this on stream. Yeah, I mean, I've spoken about this on stream before. I'm not for vigilante justice. Although I do have heavy critiques of the police and the current criminal justice system, I have concerns about doxing lists, should they exist. And if there was a group of people out there that were making lists of people specifically to dox them,
they do.
I would speak out against that. Okay, well, let's see the evidence and we'll talk about it.
All right, let's go to Rob.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with Chud Logic in the sense that it's a matter of defining terms. I agree with you there. I choose to look at this as basically asking me if I should denounce people on my side that I consider radical. And for me, the clear defining line to that is people that advocate political violence. I've denounced
the grace of a
Christmas
swan.
I told you she was too pretty.
And I've constantly told people on the right that it's a mistake.
Look, she's a fine-looking woman, okay? But
it's not something you should morally.
What does that have to do with anything?
I also
Okay?
would denounce
Well,
people.
I got a
it
show
depends
to
on
do
what you
here,
mean
woman.
Exactly by left or right in this context, but vehement racist and things like that. Clearly, everyone should be denouncing. And so certainly when that rears its head on the
I'm
right,
sure if you put that top on and
on
put
the
makeup
left, I
on
would
and
like
got
to
all
see-
dolled up, you'd
I'm
look
biased,
just
I'm on
as
the right,
pretty or
but I
better.
would like
Okay,
to see
so
more people on
relax.
the
Yeah,
left denounce
see,
political
she's got
violence.
nothing on you,
It
Lady
seems
Cho. Okay,
that many of them give
relax,
excuses for why
Miss
the
Nacho.
violence in the name of George Floyd or something like that would be acceptable.
Yeah, we call her Miss
whereas
Nacho. Okay.
violence on the right wouldn't be acceptable. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that there are so many people on the left that seek to deplatform.
All I've
people
said,
or
look, you can
criticize
look at the
people
VOD.
for
Okay, all I said was
being
that she was a very
Nazis
beautiful
or
woman.
platforming Nazis, and
Okay,
then just
because somebody else
calling
is
anyone
going
they
off in the
disagree
chat.
with a
Okay,
Nazi. So I think we should
but I
denounce
couldn't agree with
those
what they were
sorts of
saying.
voices because I really think that if you pay attention to
No,
specific
it's
situations,
MRS.
you can
We're
see
married.
that there are people on the left and right that could have a civil conversation, but sometimes the more radical start to interject and get emotional, and it really detracts from the actual overall conversation.
Okay, Danielle, or sorry, no comment, Chick.
Yeah, I am a big proponent of, a little
Question,
bit of
you
what
think I
Trump
wouldn't
might
marry
call
her?
gatekeeping, in terms of making sure that the people in
I
the
lock it
left
down, man.
are actually leftists and they're not trying to ship of Theseus right-wing ideas, such as the recent events with Infrared, into the left. Like, so Infrared was a tanky who claimed to be a Marxist-Leninist, right? And already, a little yikesy there.
Mic check, mic check. There we go. Now I can hear
Effectively,
myself.
Most tankies are
Apparently
genocide,
Joe Biden is a communist.
we are
Yeah,
genocide denialists, Holodomor denialists, Stalin fans. Just really not like the actual tanky is not a good. Now there's a tanky, a meme tanky that's just a hardcore Marxist-Leninist. I don't know if that's different or not, but like Haas pretended to be this kind of thing that's already on the outskirts. But what he actually was more of a third positionist. He was actually kind of trying to sneak Dugin's ideas, of combining fascism and communism into the left, right, without us noticing it. A lot of social conservative values too. So yeah, definitely we have to do some gatekeeping. Although I will agree with Chud that it's not a social club, and when somebody's effective at what they do, you probably shouldn't get in their way. Like, yeah, wash bad.
Danielle.
Yes, I think we should denounce radicals on all sides. As a conservative, so to speak, I was very upset about what happened January 6th. I was also very upset about what
Where do you
happened
get that, Argus?
And it bothered me that
It's a pretty hot take.
both
Not just Republicans. If you said Republicans,
abominable, and I was really disappointed.
well,
that,
even Republicans, you can't say that because technically, I guess they have. But I mean, Republicans
the left protected and
have,
tried to
they have their
justify
issues.
those actions, and everybody with any sort of following, every blue checkmark conservative was like, on January 6th, like, this is awful. I can't believe these people did this. It's terrible. This is not the answer. Political violence is never okay. So everybody should always do it, right? Because communists suck and Nazis suck. They both fucking suck. And so the best thing to do is to keep all of them at bay and away from any sort of power. And I do believe, based on recent events, that I think the right does a little bit of a better job of that than the left does currently. But yes, I think both are equally important to keep out of power. And thank you for waiting until I was done with my Big Mac and fries over here.
Yeah, the chat was very concerned with whether or not you finished your fries and burger. And then we'll go to Aiko and then American Nacho.
I'm not sure. I guess I have a clarifying question about what did you mean, Daniela? I'm sorry. I heard you say something about the left. Was it in relation to January 6th or no? Or was that separate?
She was talking about the right on January 6th.
Yes, how they pretty much
What
across
did
the board
the left
all
do?
Well,
I go. Hold on. This
Should
is
I
just
wait?
supposed to be your statement, yes,
Okay,
and then
I'm
we'll
sorry.
open it up after.
Hold that thought. Okay. Basically, denouncing things that I would denounce about the left, is that the ultimate question? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
You
lost the
feel as
thread.
though there are radicals on your side that you should be denouncing.
I feel like radicals are not on my side. People who are making things worse are not on my side. Yeah, I denounce anyone that sucks. How about I mean, like, I just like, I don't I criticize, people on the left all the time when I think that they're full of shit. That's just I'm I don't care. Like, I just um, if you're making things harder, for people to, have equal rights, then you can, like, go somewhere else and not be around me. Yeah.
All right, American Nacho.
All right. Sorry, I was finishing something. Yeah. So if we're just saying like, should we denounce them as far as like, should we not associate with them, or like when they support our campaigns or our politicians or whatever, we should not take that money, that kind of thing. Like, yeah, then I'm there for it. But if we're talking about like literally banning them from all the social spaces, then I don't really. So maybe I don't really know what exactly you mean by denounce them. I guess, like, what does that entail?
I mean,
Because
you decide it would.
Yeah.
What sort of spaces would you want to push them
Yeah.
out of? What sort of groups would you want to push them out of?
Yeah, because like I wouldn't. I mean, I would suggest to anybody on either side of the aisle not to have like tankies on your program, not to have like neo Nazis or Nazis and alt writers on your program, unless you really can. I take Destiny's advice on that. Like, unless you really know everything about their movements and their political takes in and out, and you can really dismantle their arguments and make them look stupid in front of everybody, then you shouldn't platform them in front of hundreds or thousands of people. If you can't effectively dismantle every part of their argument and basically beat them over the head with their own ignorance. Because so like to some degree, I'm like, we shouldn't ban them off of every platform, left or right, just because it's good for them to be in the public space. It's good for people to be able to criticize them and expose them to everyone else, to show how stupid their ideas are, or how, bad faith maybe their takes are, etc. So I guess loosely, I would just say I would lean towards, yeah, we should definitely denounce. Both sides, I think, should do a better job of like policing I have to kind of agree with Danny a little bit in that I think currently maybe the right is doing a little bit better of a job of policing their own side, I guess. But in the past, it hasn't always been that way. So it's like we have to keep it up. We have to constantly be policing our own sides and making sure that, the right is policing the right and the left is policing the left, and keep these extremist ideas kind of at bay or whatever, which I think is kind of in the same lane with everybody
else. I was
else.
kind of curious, and not to like, I'm not trying to be confrontational anymore, but I was just kind of curious, like, what has the right done to police, let's say the kind of stuff that we saw on January 6th? Like, I'm not saying that because I'm doubting you. I just want to know. Maybe I missed something.
Me and several other, every other streamer that I know that was kind of in my circle around that time, was quick to denounce all of that and be like, this is a terrible thing. This should have never happened. QAnon are idiots. Everybody's basically on the same page there on the right, I think, and then, if you just want an example of even politicians as recently as Trump, whenever he got that, the donation from what's his name, from the KKK leader, whatever, he was quick to denounce that on the trail, like before he was even the,
is this 2016?
Before he was even the nominee for the Republican Party. What's that guy's name?
Man,
donated to his party, and he said,
Nacho,
"I'm just throwing. This is the first thing I thought of." I'm just saying.
I'm sorry,
what's wrong with that?
I can't be mean. I'm gonna leave this.
It's the truth.
Chud, Aiko.
I'll just on that point real quick. There is, and maybe we could have this discussion. There is a difference between we're all streamers, and that's great. I hope all of us do successful, but we certainly have less clout than like politicians or mainstream media people and things like that. And I think clearly, I think in both levels, but clearly at the political level, you could see the right's politicians, media personalities, etc., every single one that I could think of condemned what happened January 6th. But on the left, we constantly see excuses for the $2.2 billion of rioting that we saw occur from the left. We constantly see excuses for, and one of the problems is the radical positions are becoming more mainstream in the Democratic Party, such as just today they're talking about court packing and things like these. Now, that's not radical in the same way, but I mean, it's radical. They're talking about race-based policies, segregation type policies and things like that. And we see politicians making excuses for political violence when it benefits them. So point me to the right winger that's making excuses for political violence. I'm right there with you. I'm condemning them right there with you. And I see great people on the left that are also condemning political violence. I do. But what troubles me is I see an awful lot of people on the left that make excuses for this political violence.
Can we go back to I wanted to know what Daniela meant about January 6th and the left. Like I didn't completely
You
hear
wanted
what
to
you
know
meant
what she meant by the summer, right?
by
I
wait,
may
I'm
have
sorry.
misspoken. I pretty much meant exactly what Rob just said, which is when a bunch of crazy righties, stormed the Capitol. Everybody. I mean, like there's not a blue check mark conservative or Republican who did not say that this was awful and it was not the answer and it was not the right thing to do. As opposed to summer of 2020 when there were riots and lots of people on the left, including politicians, made excuses and actually even encouraged it. And
Yeah,
I think that was a
I got
pretty
you.
big difference.
Okay, yeah.
Daniela, how can you say that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Wait, I get what you're saying. I would also argue that when people stormed the Capitol, uh, I started seeing a lot of like conservative media, like Tucker Carlson and others saying like starting to like kind of be like, well, maybe it could be like Antifa, like
Sure.
that kind of
And
thing.
there
So
were,
they're like, but it wasn't
no,
right.
it
Like we're
wasn't.
clear with that,
And
right?
yeah.
At
No,
this
you're
point,
absolutely
okay.
right. There was at first, there was like, and actually Elijah Schaefer, who works for Blaze TV, he actually was there, like boots on the ground when this was happening, and a lot of
Yeah.
people were sending in pictures, and they were like, "This guy's from Antifa, and this girl's from Antifa," and he was like, "No, guys, they're not. Sorry." So there was that theory floating around, but I think that was pretty quickly squashed.
Okay. Yeah. I saw people try to throw that out there, it didn't stick. I've been surprised with the specific people. I guess I mean, you never know what individual takes are gonna be like. But I think that it is the reason that people storm the Capitol is not the same reason that Black Lives Matter protests happened,
Yeah, of
right?
course not. If I
But I
could just
think,
ask a quick question, does everyone on the right here condemn violence they saw January 6th?
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We all can. Does everyone on the left condemn the violence we saw from Antifa and Black Lives Matter throughout the spring and summer last year, and we're still seeing today?
A lot of it came from the police, actually. I saw
Anyone
I
else?
saw
I feel
I
I
wait a
want a
second.
specific
okay?
example,
Wait,
Rob.
I
I
wanna
feel like
say
we could.
no.
Sorry,
It's
go
not
on.
that okay, no, you're right, I shouldn't, go off on this thing. I will say that, yeah, violence is definitely bound to happen, when you have large groups of people. The vast majority was peaceful. I saw, when it was happening, I saw, like, the street that I used to work on, it was just, like, at the beginning of Tribeca, which is, like, the the wealthiest neighborhood in, Manhattan, I think, and, like, right on the edge of, like, Canal Street. I don't this might not make sense to anyone. But anyway, so, there was basically, like, a line of a bunch of police officers, like, blocking the street that would go into the Tribeca neighborhood, and, there were just peaceful protesters that were, like, kneeling, and they had their hands up, and then, all of a sudden, like a guy comes running from the back of the officers, and it was just like started like started like literally just ran over people and started arresting them. Yeah, and
Well,
it was
can I rephrase my because the thing is, we could talk about the specific situation, who was at fault, the police or whatever. Well, everyone on the left at least admit here that there were many times where it wasn't the police fault, that it was groups on the left like Antifa or Black.
I mean, could we just agree that political violence is wrong, right?
Yeah, can we just say that?
Wait. Let me give me a chance. Right. So let me ask you a question. You say political violence is wrong, and I will answer your question, Rob. Okay. Do you support the police or think the police serve a function in society?
Yeah, giving the monopoly of use of force to police and to the state was probably the smartest thing humanity has done.
So you support. That's fine. That's all I need. You support political violence as well. That's fine. But
that's not political though. Like, how is it political?
Of course it is.
Explain.
What violence enforced by the state, by state apparatus? Of course, that's political.
Yeah, but what's their political? What's their motive? Like, what's their
to maintain the power of the state? I mean,
again, but anyway, we could argue this. We could argue the semantics of it, but the point is just real quick: the state using force is different than vigilantes using that force. That's a completely different situation.
Wait. Sorry.
The state to have as much power, right?
I just wanted to point that out to you because that's an inconsistency there. Okay.
Okay, but
you say that
the
state apparatus. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, like, those should be.
He is.
I see where he's going.
Like, if there are anarchists who don't believe there should be a state, they believe a state is political, right? And so anybody who reinforces the state, like politicians, like police officers, like the military, they would that is therefore political violence.
But in any case, the only reason I say that is to point out the fact that often people won't consider the inherent violence of our current political system and they'll ignore it whilst talking about violence from other people. Anyway, I'll answer your question, Rob, okay? So you're comparing apples and oranges, but what I will say is this. Do I support some small business owners' property getting burnt to the ground? No, I don't think that's good. Of course, I'm against that, okay? But the thing is, it's about questioning why are people in a position to do that in the first place? Why are they in a position where they're going to go and burn a building down, right? I would even say the same thing about the Capitol building. Why were these people in a position where they went and stormed the Capitol building? Because of propaganda, right? Because they were fed propaganda and they believed they were going to go and destroy this false election which had happened, which is obviously totally nonsense. However, what I would point to is the reason we're comparing apples and oranges, okay, is that the reasons for the people, going into the Capitol building is, which is essentially off the back of false propaganda, but inevitably is to overturn the results of a legitimate election. That's very different to people kind of lashing out violently against their own oppression.
Again, what I would argue, just real quick.
Argument, though. Sorry, I just want to. I know you're not trying to be elitist, but I feel like it's so elitist to say like, oh, going against the government, this symbol of American government, is so much worse than burning down business owners' property. It's like, what? No, I'm sorry, maybe like symbolically, but I feel worse for the business owners. I do, especially because so many of them were minority business owners.
Sure. Listen, I don't listen.
Were minority. They worked their entire lives to build those businesses, and they're.
I'm sorry, but I feel you're morally grandstanding here. I feel like you're morally grandstanding here, right?
You're right, Chad.
You're morally grandstanding. I agree with you. Listen. I said at the start that I think it's bad if a small person's business gets burnt down. Now, look, I've got some fairly differing perspectives on the Capitol building, right? I saw like some blue checkmark taking photos of cigarette butts going, oh, look, they were smoking in the Capitol building. Now, look, what happened at the Capitol building was bad. I don't deny that, okay? However, I would just point out that, yeah, sure, there's some stuff there which is maybe a bit ridiculous. Of course, the impact of what happens to a small business owner is much bigger than what happened at the Capitol building. And that's why I said at the start, that is bad. However, I do still think it's important to ask questions about why people are in a position to do that in the first place. And that's more important than just looking at the outcome and going, oh, we need to denounce this is bad.
If I can. So the problem I have with it, I don't disagree with you that we should, in any situation where people feel disenfranchised, whether it be right wing, left wing, specific groups, we should. It's incumbent on us to look at the reasons they might feel that way. Are they true? Are they false? Is it from propaganda? I agree. All that's good. But the problem I have is this: you saw a quick condemnation from everyone on the right with right wing violence, and then when you ask the left, there's always this. Well, yeah, technically, I think a lot of this is bad, but we have to look at the reasons and blah blah blah. And the problem is this: what ends up happening,
Rob, if I might
end up
ask you a question,
well, it's not just nuance.
My problem with you,
just real quick. I
want to answer your question though, Rob, but I need.
There wasn't nuance though. We clarified and we said, can we say that all political violence is bad?
I know,
so the
Rob.
point is,
I'm a bad lady. I say mean things.
We clarified it though, and we said, can we agree that all political violence is bad? And still, we went off onto like, well, maybe.
Right.
Like, how can we not just agree that political violence is wrong, whether it's on the left or on the right?
Hold on. Let's let Rob finish, and then we'll
go ahead,
Rob.
It'll be real quick. So the worry I has, even if the people on this panel, which we'll get more directly in this, would say yes, all political violence is bad. When we start saying, but we have to look at the motivation when deciding how bad that political violence is. The problem is everyone that commits this sort of violence thinks that they have the rationale to do it. That's why we need to condemn the tactic instead of relying on the fact of, well, if you could prove that you've been aggrieved more than another group, then perhaps your violence is more justified. So I'm not saying you're saying that, but it seems like when you're just unwilling to come right out and say, yeah, all of this violence is bad, that's the sort of stuff that it leads to.
Okay, Rob, can I offer you another explanation for what's going on when we are like hemming and hawing? Because I know that's frustrating to you, and I want to like connect here, right? So what if it is that you are not offering us a specific act of violence to condemn, and we're kind of wondering, because we've seen the Andy No stuff, we've seen the Tim Pool stuff, we've seen a bunch of shit that looks bad for Antifa, that looks bad for the left, but when you like, peel the skin back, you really realize it's just a fucking setup and a false flag. Project Veritas is a great example of this. So
okay, what about the CNN reporter? What about the CNN reporter that was just attacked today? Like literally, within the last 20 hours.
Well, you are asking me about a new news story that I did not read yet, so I can't comment. Sorry. Does anybody else want to take that? But
I'm not sure about that.
Do we know about this incident?
I want to be clear though.
And since when do the right wingers care about CNN reporters?
Just saying. CNN didn't care about it. CNN didn't report it.
No, I think you do.
With what Chad said, I want to be clear. He wasn't defending violence at all, but that there are systemic issues that we need to look at to see why is it the way that it is.
That's fine though. That's reasonable though.
Right.
No one disagrees with that. It's just the way of getting there. The whole thing of a lot of the people who are ACAB, knee-jerk ACAB, really are just oh, well, we're just trying to bring attention to the injustices in the police, in the criminal justice system, and we want to push for reform and da-da-da-da-da. That's reasonable. Why not take that stand? Why come out and say ACAB and just go full on I get it. It's for the shock value, and you want to get people to view your stuff, and then you could push that stuff. But you can just push that stuff already. I think everybody on the right and the left would agree that we could use some kind of reform in our criminal justice system, and you would win more people to your side from the moderate and center, which is where I place myself most of the time. You're not winning me over by screaming ACAB. But if you say police reform, I'm down. Sorry.
I want to say ACAB is specifically, it's not targeted at you. It's not targeted. I don't use ACAB rhetoric, but I understand ultimately what it means is that you can't be a part of you can't be a cop and be a part of that system without taking an oath to uphold some laws that are unjust. So that's ultimately what that means. I think that agitative rhetoric is good to have because it does speak to some people, but obviously not everyone, which is why people should just speak to the people that they can relate to about their ideas. So it's not about selling people on it that are on the other side at the moment.
All right, real quick, Rob. Earlier, you asked everybody to denounce like all political violence on both
It's
sides.
not about selling it
Like,
to people who
our
are on the other
nation's
side.
Pretty much founded on.
That's the only way we're going to get anything passed.
There's a point that you can get to.
That's what's so stupid about this whole ACAT
because you
thing.
guys also felt
That's the only way we get anything passed is if you're working with the other side. If the other side can meet you in the middle somewhere and find some common ground, and then we can say, okay, yeah, of course we need some police reform. Of course, yeah, we can do away with these laws and these laws and these laws and these laws. Like, come on,
there's a
man.
question on whether or not situations like we saw with the founding
all
fathers
cops
would
are
be able to
bastards.
be done in the landscape that we have today. My feeling is
Pretty
that most
stupid.
most apolitical warfare.
Like, you're getting
at this
nowhere
point
with
is going
that.
to be done through information. So I question the morality or the strategicness of doing something like the revolution that we saw. But yes, certainly the revolution was justified. The problem is this: for every one time that we could point to in history and say, here was a time where we had a political, this sort of political violence that was justified. There are literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of time where people have used that exact example to say, this justifies me doing what I'm doing now. So if we look at like what No Comment Chick was saying there, she talks about a specific incident. I could give many specific incidents. The Chaz zone that happened there, which resulted in the death of at least one African-American minor, May 31st outside the White House, where people lit fires, including at a church in DC, and then tried to storm into the White House, were held back by the Secret Service, up until events that we saw yesterday, the day before, etc. No Comment Chick says, well, Andy, no, blah, blah, blah. The reality is there was $2.2 billion worth of damage in these riots. And
900 officer casualties and
Right.
over
Hey, Rob, you said
23
my name, so I'm
dead.
going to jump in here. So I got to ask you about a specific incident that I'm like kind of wondering about. I kind of feel bad about. Do you remember the auto zone that was burned down? The auto zone. There's a picture of a guy
way back,
way back early.
Sure.
That's one that I would say like that was fucked up. What happened? Like that person. Would you so there you go. Specific example. The neo-Nazi that did that and tried to frame the protesters. Yeah, he was a bad guy.
Yeah, that's
Is
bad.
this Umbrella Guy?
Did you not know that? Yeah, the Umbrella Guy. They fucking found him. They fucking found him. All right, so there's a lot of things where at first it was portrayed as like, oh, geez, Antifa, they're doing like really bad things. You find out it's literally a false flag. Literally,
there's a lot of Black Lives Matter groups that started.
I'll get off after this.
Okay, yeah,
one
sorry.
More question for you. Okay, the reason that we're a little bit like iffy on you guys about this is like you say these things, but at the same time we wonder if you're really like against the people who did the January 6th shit. Or if you're just like, you're just, are you sorry or are you just sorry you got caught? Like, it's what we're asking. And really what this comes down to is like, how come nobody would hold Trump responsible for what happened? How come there was he was not responsible in any way?
Right, that's exactly.
This is why we can't take your shit seriously.
Okay, so real quick, I can respond to this.
Look, I like to talk to good faith actors, Rob, but you've got a double standard.
I would like to respond to this. Trump wasn't responsible. He didn't incite. If he did incite, then the Nation of Islam and Barack Obama and the Congressional Black Caucus that took photos with their leader, Louis Farrakhan, are responsible for the Capital City police officer that was murdered just last week. Did they incite that riot? Did all of the people that talk about the issues of Black Lives Matter and systemic racism in this country, did they incite the violence that resulted in that Capital City officer
being killed? There's a lot more direct line between Trump and what happened in those riots than there is between Barack Obama and the fucking the person that was president. Are you still on Obama derangement syndrome? That's what is that? 2016?
No, I'm not on Obama derangement syndrome. I'm saying that the level for what constitutes.
What about his tan suit, Rob? Does
again, real quick, we have like Maxine Waters saying that we should chase people out of events. We should go after Republicans, things like that. We've had Democrats really say. I mean, again, you're deflecting because you can't hold a coherent.
Oh, am I gish galloping, Rob? Am I gish galloping? Are you going to accuse me of gish galloping? Here we go. The fucking
I just wanted to say one quick point, and then I promise Chuck you can come
Fallen Titan, 2021.
I just wanted to say real quick.
All right, Rob, go ahead and finish, and then we'll go to Chud Lodge.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you say me? Just real quick.
Yeah,
I just want to say, like, you can question our motivations. That's fine. You have every right to do that. Everyone could do that. But at least we were willing to, on point, say, yeah, we condemn the violence. We still haven't heard that from you. Instead, we've heard excuses.
You said you condemn the violence, but I wonder what would have happened.
You won't even go that far.
You won't even go that.
Right, you won't even go that far.
We don't know if you're traitors or not. This is the truth of the matter. We don't know which side you're really on.
Well, we have a pretty good idea what you are.
They want. We you suspect that had they won, had they like succeeded in tying up all of the elected officials and like and frustrating the will of the American
This is
people?
what she does.
I don't know
She's
if you guys would be supporting
here for the
them. I kind of
theatrics.
think you would. I kind of think you'd fall right into line under an authoritarian Trump system.
Yeah,
I don't see you
apparently.
becoming comrades. I don't see you coming out in the street to fight with us.
That's because you're a radical. You're one of the radicals that they should condemn. So of course I'm not going to fight with you.
I'm the CEO of Antifa right here.
Hold on.
Okay,
We're gonna go
right.
to Chud Logic.
Okay, so I just want to go a little bit back to American Nacho's point. Now, listen, I agree that ACAB could be a confusing term because it's supposed to be a systemic critique, but it sounds like it's making a moral, criticism of each individual police officer. I get that.
I mean, that's
okay?
exactly what it's doing, though. I mean, it's
well,
pretty
if you
straightforward. All cops are
wait.
bastards. That's what it stands for. So, I mean, you're
No,
not.
no,
Who are you winning over by that? Like, and how do you misinterpret that?
But the thing is, okay, here's the issue, right? ACAB isn't necessarily designed as like a motto that's designed to be like hashed out on a panel. But anyway, listen, I concede to you that ACAB can be confusing, okay? Now, here's what I want to say though, right? We're very quick to talk about, the riots and the violence and stuff like that. And we are so focused on the violence of the protesters, the rioters, whatever, but we don't think to question, well, why are they acting violently? And in case of the protests last summer, it does go back to the question of like the police and the role they play in society. And I appreciate what you're saying about monopoly on the use of violence. And I accept that to some degree. However, that in itself isn't an argument. What we need to ask is, how are police using this monopoly on violence? Are they using it fairly? Are they using it correctly? I don't think they are. And that's why you saw.
Yeah, well, you know how you do that. You get representatives elected that can change the policies and change the way that officers operate. Like, you don't go burn down the streets. Like, and that's what I was going to say earlier when you said that about, well, if you support the police, then you still basically you support political violence. Like, well, maybe to a degree you support the state's monopoly on political violence or on violence, but it's like, it's not supposed to be political because they're supposed to be representing the people to a degree, because you're electing officials. If those officials legislate for your state, for your county, for your town, for your local municipality, for all the way down to the local level, and you get to play a part by voting in how the system is structured, because you're going to vote in people who are representing you, and then what the laws they're going to be passed are. You know what I mean? Okay. So I don't think that's even close to like vigilante political justice.
Well, let me ask you a question, okay? Let's say, for the sake of argument, that you were on the floor and a police officer had a boot on your throat. How would you feel if someone came along and said, "Don't worry, you can just vote to stop that from happening"?
Yeah, I mean,
there's a difference, right? There's a difference between you personally defending yourself with unnecessary violence being applied on you at a moment versus rioting and looting stores afterwards.
But, okay,
and I don't really know how or why a police would just have their boot on my neck. Like, I don't do anything to be in those positions. So, I mean,
like using a counter.
If someone just came into my home and busted down my door and put a boot on my neck, then I would fight back.
Okay, let me make it a bit clearer, okay? The point that I'm making is that for some of these people, it's, because you're talking about just vote away the problems. For some people, these problems are so immediate that voting isn't necessarily going to solve them quickly enough to resolve the issues that they're facing.
I mean, at the local level, a lot of the times it will. You can get sheriffs out.
From Target well?
Does that justify? Listen, does that justify someone going and burning down someone's small business? No, of course not. But it maybe goes some way to explaining why that happens.
Well, that's
no, I mean, like,
true.
people. Okay.
Also,
if I can, real quick.
Drop of a fly. It really does. During natural disasters, people just do that. Like when I owned a business with a storefront, like we put up for Hurricane Sandy, we put up things. What the fuck do you call it? My brain isn't working. We put up boards in the windows to like keep looters from coming in, because that's just like how it is. So we don't know if they had participated in the protests or they were just opportunists. And I'm sure that in some cases it was, one or the other or both, right? But those are like ultimately individuals. Yeah.
All right, we're
But
gonna go to
if I can-
Daniela real quick. Is she
My
frozen?
goodness, what are we talking about?
Bit of a
It's
robot.
I
frozen.
don't know. I was
You just
muted.
rebut to what you were gonna talk about earlier.
Sorry, Daniela's
Chud
like 3
logic.
seconds behind us. So
I'm
go
here.
ahead, Daniela.
Well, what exactly are we talking about now?
Oh, you
lagging pretty bad.
I'm having trouble too with people's sound. Can everybody do a test real quick?
Test.
Testing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mic check.
mic check.
Everybody sounds good.
Hello.
Daniela's just lagging a little bit.
Oh, Discord. Oh, it's not Discord. It's StreamYards.
Can you see me moving?
Oh, you're
Yeah,
good now.
yeah, you're good now. Go ahead.
Oh, wait.
So what are we talking about at this point? Sorry, there's been a lot of conversation.
Chud, I think you were about to respond. You were about to respond to what Chud Logic had just said, but
That's what I was going to do as well. But you can go wherever, I guess.
Yeah, if you don't have anything, go ahead,
if I
Rob.
remember.
Okay, yeah, so there's a couple things I want to say. I don't disagree with Chud, and I think we've all been saying this the entire time. We should be looking at the reasons that people riot. We should be looking at reasons that people feel disenfranchised. That's different than whether or not we should also call out the radicals, which is the topic. And so, like, I just find it hilarious that we're seeing people on the left parse words and say, "No, wait a minute. The people saying all cops are bastards. Perhaps they're not perhaps we could look at that in a nuanced view. No, that's radical, and that should be condemned. That's the way it is." I also disagree with Chud Logic that we don't have these conversations. Like, I hear this all the time from the left. Well, the riot's the voice of the unheard, and no one's talking about these issues. You can't buy ice cream without talking about these issues. You can't turn on Netflix without these issues being discussed. So I just disagree. Like, there's this constant narrative that we're not talking about it, and we certainly are. We're talking about it all the time.
So, Rob, is the guy running out of
Dingus,
Target
I'm
with the TV,
6'3".
Is that the radical? Like, who's the radical? Point me out to the radicals, because this is the thing. You always like say condemn this shit, and I'm like, what shit, where? And you're like, you point to this big shadowy figures. There's the boogeyman coming out, and I'm like, I don't know. That sounds pretty scary to me, bro. Like, if that's a real thing, like, yeah, that shouldn't exist. But like, you're not like showing me anything. You're just showing me like, yeah, fucking Target got robbed. All right. So like, are you telling me that everybody that went in there and grabbed a TV is a fucking anarchist, like radical? I don't fucking think so. I think there's probably conservatives in there running out with TVs unironically. So like, what exactly do you mean? Who are the radicals? Like, are these radicals in the room with us right now, Rob? That's what I really want to know. Like, do they live in your head?
I told you guys, let Destiny know if he ever wants to have a Destiny
there's
off.
two things that we could say. There's different definitions.
We can go, man.
The first is any sort of political violence.
This is a guy that I've been
stuff
listening
like that.
to.
I would say
Listening to
that's
some
a
of his
radical,
videos.
and that they should be condemned. If
He's
it's
a streamer on
right-winger
Twitch.
Voodoo,
Well, I've
yes, condemn them.
seen
If
a
it's
bunch of
left-winger
people
Voodoo,
saying you
yes,
look like
condemn
him,
them.
so I need to
Period.
see what he
Second, there are
looks like
radicals
now.
that don't necessarily have to engage in violence.
They say I look
or
like
looting.
Destiny,
Those
but
could be
with
people
more
that are saying things
testosterone.
like
Where
all
do you
cops are
watch 'em?
bastards or adapting
YouTube.
positions like that. For example,
Twitch.
let me give you an example that maybe you're familiar with. If someone's brought onto a panel to talk about trans issues and they're talking about research that occurs in the trans community,
Here we go.
and you call them
Yeah.
a Nazi, then you're a radical, and that should be rejected. And
wait.
people on the left should reject.
Oh, I
that.
thought you were talking about me for a second.
Well, I think all of this, all of this on all sides is kind of getting, all this rhetoric is kind of getting abused at some point. Like, everyone just instantly calling everybody a racist, everybody calling them a Nazi, like throwing out this thing saying that, you know, that everything is Jim Crow and that this is all systemic racism. You're like abusing the word, the power of the word, and then it loses all of its meaning because you're just throwing it around willy nilly. Like, everyone on the right calling everybody on the left a communist, like, doesn't, you know, you take away the power of the word because you're just using it all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, like, everybody isn't a communist because they're on the left. Everybody isn't a Nazi because they're on the right. And the more that we let all these people like just throw all this stuff around, the less meaning it gets. Like, when people call someone a racist now, I don't even blink an eye because I'm like, we'll see.
Hey, spicy take, American Nacho. I'm going to agree with you on that. Okay. Like, yeah, there is too much of this idea. And a lot of it comes from, like, strangely enough, like, not an overemphasis on social justice, but an incomplete understanding of social justice. So sometimes people will take something like the idea of systemic racism, which is the idea that racism doesn't just exist in the hearts of the evil Klansmen and stuff like that, but it also, you know, kind of gets into our own biases, like, implicitly. It doesn't mean we're bad people, but it means that we kind of got, like, skewed perspectives. So in other words, when we see a black kid, as a white person or anyone in society, we tend to think of them as being older and bigger and more of a threat than they really are. This causes us to react differently.
Yeah, Miss Nacho doesn't do
about that, some people get
politics.
confused and they say, "Yeah, you're a racist." Like they'll call out implicit racism, and they'll be like, "Yeah, so you're a racist, you're a fascist." It'll go right down the line, and that is absolutely fucking toxic. That is absolutely a misapprehension. But I don't think that the answer is like, "Whoa, back away from this crazy social justice stuff." I think this answer is to actually learn the real version of it instead of the pared down, like dumbed down media version of it. So yeah, but I'm kind of agreeing with you here. So yeah.
I mean, the point is when we're talking about critical race theory and things like that, if people just want to say there are systemic inequities and things like that based on race, that's one thing. If people want to use it to reject people of a certain skin color, yes, that's radical. That should be rejected. That is racism.
Sorry, Rush. What do you mean?
Rejecting like what, white people?
Right, rejecting whiteness, saying all white people are racist. All white
like the
people are
I would
Coca-Cola
like
thing.
to clarify.
No, to that
a
I
lot
don't
of
think
people-
Coca.
No, a lot of people
less
think
white.
that whiteness, a lot of people aren't clear on what like whiteness is. Like
Right.
whiteness isn't a person. Whiteness is a worldview that we are all born into, which is that we associate things with like a white racial identity with things that are normal. Like that's what the standard is, whether it's like culture, uh, just holidays, whatever. You know what I mean?
Is that how it's
Everything
always
else is
applied, though?
I mean, the majority population in the
That's a
country is
stereotype.
white, so that's what things people are mostly advertising to. You know, if that's what you're talking about, the white view and all this stuff that's normalized. Like,
But there is
I mean, the
also
problem is
not really
Okay.
the problem
like
is we hear
if
this
I
a
was
lot.
in Africa, I'm sure in an African country, I would probably see, everybody on TV is going to be brown and black. Those are going to be all the supermodels. Those are going to be all the main, stream television, casters and musicians,
All right,
I mean,
etc.
the problem I-
hold
go ahead,
on.
Chad.
We're gonna let Chad Logic finish this one out, and then we'll move on to the last topic.
Okay, that's fair enough. I feel like we're being a little bit reductive here. What I could say is correct. What I say on top of that as well is whiteness is an academic term, and look, I appreciate speaking about academic terms, like Jesus Christ, let's just talk plainly about what's going on in the world and try and understand one another. But I think it's kind of funny that we're going to talk about this diversity training in Coke. I presume that's what Rob is referencing, which I spoke out about and said, well, that's the kind of thing you're talking about. I know the kind of thing you're talking about, and I've looked at that kind of stuff. Anyway, final point is,
All right, Chocolate, thanks for hanging out.
The final thing I'll say is this, right? So I've got two boys,
right.
twin boys. They're always fighting.
Hey, we're about to get to the spiciest part right
Never
here.
ending. One of my boys'
We're about to
faces
get
is
into
red where he's been
the
pinched and bitten
Georgia
by
Senate
the other
bill.
one. Okay,
So,
now
you might want to stick
if I
around
hear
for
them
this.
fighting, okay, and I go into the room, I don't know what's happened. If I take the person that I see committing the violence and I, go hard for them, I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you hitting your brother? And then it turns out that actually it's the other one that started it and it's the other one that's hit the brother first. Well, that's the person that I need to be criticizing, and that's the person that I need to be looking at, to offer my sort of discipline to, or whatever you want to call it, right? And I think, more broadly, I'm simplifying it a bit, but more broadly, we can look at that within our current political system. We've got the state and the police that enact violence upon citizens. When the citizens lash out and push back, that's the thing we've got to denounce. That's the thing we've got to criticize. How about, we start off by criticizing the institutions, the police and the government first. That's it.
All right, cool.
Can
I don't know. You're
I
robot.
think she just wants to respond to that.
You can try.
Yeah, I want to respond to it, but
You're good now.
okay. Okay, great. Thank you. I think the difference in that is, yes, if one son hits the other and the other hits him back, the one who hit first is the wrong one. But the problem, at least in that case, the retaliation was to the person who committed the act to begin with. Your other son didn't walk down the street and punch his best friend. He punched his brother who punched him first. So if we're going to talk about that, and I'm not saying I support that either way, but it's a little bit of a different situation. Because
I'm sure, I'm
when
talking
somebody
about
commits a terrible act, like if Derek Chauvin is found to in fact be guilty of murder based on the physical evidence available in a trial, then he is punished as the person who committed the act. And I am all for that all day long. What I'm not for is other police officers who engage
Speculation
in no such
circus.
act.
Yeah.
And business
Welcome to
owners
Twitch
who had nothing
politics.
to do with this.
What's the next
suffer
topic? Oh, the next topic
That's
is the
problem with
Georgia
behavior.
Senate
Well,
bill.
the thing about like
What's
business
that?
owners and
I think
police
that
officers, you
it's
can't put them
voter
in the
ID
same
laws and stuff. And
category.
voter ID's laws are
The
racist. It's going to be
police officers are supposed to
a
be
mess.
the ones that, I mean, it depends on what vantage point you're looking at, but these people that are supposed to be protecting us are not, and they're actually like killing a lot of people and harming a lot of people. And so, but it's not just limited to the police, it's also, in the way that, like the police arrest uh black and brown people, like to fight hot. Okay, I apologize, I didn't sleep last night. At a much higher rate, the sentences, they're convicted at a much higher rate. They are sentenced most way harsher than white people that do the exact same things. That's all part of the system,
Really
and
convincing.
it's not any one individual cop's
She's
fault.
like-
although, like in Derek
she's
Chauvin's
stoned out of
case,
her
I
mind.
think that
She's confusing the
I think
hell
that
out of me.
he
She always is.
I'm not really
yeah,
sure
I
where
think
any
he's
of her conversations are going.
She doesn't
I
know
don't
either.
want to
That's
say
why we
anything
all
too
let her
loud.
talk.
Oh,
Notice
wait, we're not even on
all of
Twitch.
the
I don't know what I can and
right-leaning
can't
people
say.
just let her talk when she
YouTube.
You can call
talks.
people simps. You can call people. What are we gonna do on
Okay,
here?
so
And
Derek Chauvin is
She
for
just
murder.
hangs herself
I would
every
like to
time.
I think that I can stand by that. But yeah,
Right.
so it's not just people going after like your uncle or father or brothers, like they are all like bastards. and
Okay.
bad.
We do have to move on, but I interrupted Rob and then let everybody else end up going. So Rob, you can go ahead and finish it out.
Can I hurry up and
I'll just
interrupt? All political violence is bad.
All right, go ahead,
I
Rob.
agree with that. And I'll
Ooh,
just say,
yes.
I'll just say real quick, like even at the end here, we can see sort of, kind of tongue in cheek, or like a wink and a nod to, well, that left political violence. That's for a good reason and something like this. I mean, it's just terrible. The idea that the police are as bad as it's being made out isn't true. Like Akiko, I'd love to have a conversation with you about discrepancies
It's
in law
Aiko,
enforcement.
Rob. Her name's Aiko.
Aiko,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
I would love to. Yeah, no problem. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it at some point. We could see, for example, that the disparity between men and women in law enforcement interactions is 6 times worse than the disparity between blacks and whites. So if we could understand the need for riots because black people supposedly being mistreated by police, certainly we would understand 6 times worse riots from men, but we don't see that. The point is, even in Chud Logic's like hypothetical here, we just have to say that we have to condemn this sort of violence. No
Look at no
against having the
comment.
conversation
She's
of,
about to
are the reforms
explode,
we can
dude.
make with the police better and things like that. And lastly, just the idea of whiteness. It would be nice if that's how it's used in the academic sense, but we can see over and over, including
Hey, Sansol.
federal agencies and in
We got one more
that we're
topic, so
specifically saying all white
stick
people are
around. You might
racist or
like this one.
segregating white
Oh,
people
I
and
wish
telling
you could have
white
been in
people to
here.
apologize, etc. So it's even if you three are all using reject whiteness in the pure academic sense, which is noble, I guess.
I like Sansol.
That's not how it's applied.
He
in the
keeps
real world.
me.
So
That's
Rob,
why
are
we
you
He keeps
in
me
favor of,
centered
like, more
because he's a
social
lefty,
justice
but
and
he
education,
hates
just so people
a lot of
understand these
lefties
concepts
too.
a little bit better, and they don't have this like reductive
So he
version
keeps
of
me
it that you're
closer to
complaining
the
about.
center
That's what
because
you're complaining
otherwise
about.
I'd just be
You're
like,
complaining about
the
actual
left is
social
all
justice.
stupid.
You're complaining about some
If
lefties
I
that
didn't
like, are
meet
a
people
little bit
like
lazy and
Sansol,
don't
then
quite learn it and get like
I'd
this
probably
weird
still be
stereotyped,
like,
essentialized
yeah,
version
just
of it,
screw
which
them
is
all,
like
dude.
white bad, right? Or that like I always say like this idea that white straight cis men are the Dio Brandos of oppression, and they're not. There's some of my
We were
best
supposed to
friends,
move on
and
from
like
this
I'm
already.
not going to
Yeah.
essentialize them like that. Not everybody's one way. Just because you have privilege doesn't mean that you can't become aware of
What is
that
he saying?
privilege and actually be an awesome ally to
never
to
mind.
leverage that in
Thought he was
service
talking to
of bring about equality. So yeah, no, I totally feel you, Rob.
I'll just say this real quick to
How
respond
old
to
is
that.
the no
Every
comment
group
chick?
has some sort of
I
privilege,
have
and
no
every
idea.
group
I
has
don't
some
know.
sort of detriment, but we only call on certain
She
groups
just
that have
looks
that privilege. And if you want to
interesting.
learn more about this, look at left-wing professors like Jonathan Haidt,
I don't know
James
how to say
McWhorter,
it.
Brett and Eric Weinstein that all talk about the toxicity of
I don't
critical race
shit.
theory.
Okay,
That's
we do
the best
have
way
to
I can
move
put
on
it.
now. I'm
When
She
sorry.
looks
I
kind of
mean,
interesting.
specifically on
Okay.
like the
Sorry, I don't know where I was
implementation
going with
of
that.
like,
Aiko, I need to make a rule that you're not allowed to talk about whiteness on here.
listen, I made you an emote. Shush.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't tell you to shush on your own panel. I would
Go
just
ahead.
like to say that those programs that you're talking about, like making white people apologize to like people, no, that's dumb.
Or the
It's
the
just,
8
like, no
white
one, like,
identities that was pushed in like the New Jersey schools or whatever that was. That
it's
little
like, do you
image
remember when
where
Nancy Pelosi kneeled? Like,
yes,
yeah, exactly. It's like
that was
cringe.
really cringe.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the
Cringe
garbs
and
that they were wearing
performative.
are like from a tribe that currently practices like slave trading or something like that, and they just were
It's
like clueless
Yeah, I don't know about that part, but, like,
idiots.
yeah, it is they do cringe things. The people that are implementing those things, they're basically doing it because they know there's a
I need
problem, but
more
they
whiskey.
don't, like, go to the
No.
right places to figure it out. So that's definitely a thing to criticize and reevaluate. Yeah, I just wanted to throw
Tom,
that
I
out
don't want
there.
to tell you what to do with your panel, but I feel like there's an opportunity here for Aiko to talk to our conservative panelists
Oh, come
about,
on.
the concept of, white guilt is sort of what we're touching on, and I think that Aiko might have some views on that would surprise our right wing panelists. Do you? And like, I'll shut up, but like, just an idea.
Yeah, I would definitely be down for, like, one-on-ones in the future. This is just not, like, the right space for that,
Well,
and
let
that would
Tom
also
decide that,
take
Aiko.
way
But
more
yeah, sure.
time. Yeah,
Yeah,
um,
sure. We'll
it
move on
would
to the
hurt
next
your
I'd
topic.
show up
Anybody
for that though.
wants to stick
I'll say
around
that. I'd
after-
definitely show up for that.
Okay.
Yeah, anybody want to stick around after? Some people are probably on a time limit, so we got to get to this last topic. So the last one is the new law or the new voting laws passed in Georgia.
Senate Bill 202.
Georgia passed a new law with added precautions like photo ID for absentee ballots.
They didn't
Bans
pass a new
on
law,
ballot
they
drop
passed a
boxes
new bill.
outdoors or after business hours, and restricts early voting in runoff elections, and even criminalizes giving food or water to voters standing in line. Are these restrictions necessary for safe and secure elections? This time we will start with let's see, where did we go last time? I think we started we'll start with Dan no comment chick, then go to Danielle.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty hard to defend, and I
sure.
don't feel like I feel like I'm more interested in hearing what the conservatives have
Here,
to
you
say
can just
in
rinse this
terms
and use
of
this one.
why this might be necessary. You asked me, if I think that it might help in any way, like secure our more fair elections, or prevent like I don't even know what the fucking like excuse for this is, because it seems pretty blatant to me that the right wing got rinsed this election cycle because more people were able to vote, and when that happened, they kind of just like more people. This is a known phenomenon. The more people that vote, the less likely the right wing is to win. I think this is their response to it. Their attempt to hold on to power, even though they couldn't even hold on to the state of Georgia. They're going to try to gerrymander. They're going to try to manipulate the vote. They're going to try to suppress the vote. And this is more of that. They want to make sure that less of you vote. So notice that. And if you believe in people having self-determination, conservatism is not your political philosophy.
All right, we'll go to Daniela.
Okay. So I had a hard time understanding what in here is actually eliminating people's right to vote. I tend to think that saying that having ID is bad for minorities is really racist. Like, it's not difficult to get an ID. And I think that minorities are fully capable of doing so. That's my opinion. I guess I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. The whole like no food or water.
Oh, we're going
it's
in
not
on this
really
one.
True. All they said was only the polling officials can provide water. They don't want third-party groups providing food and water and being like, vote for so and so, vote for so and so. Here's your barbecue. Like, that seems really reasonable.
You think people are being bribed with barbecue?
Hold on, it's opening statement.
Sorry. I'm just like
you're not allowed. You're not allowed to campaign within 150 yards, feet, what have you, of a polling station. And so allowing people, third parties, to provide food could end up being sort of a form of campaigning. So I understand that and why they did that. You know, the hours, I thought it was really dishonest how the left, some members of the left were saying that, you know, they're restricting the hours from 9 to 5. It's like, no, they're not. The old law said normal business hours. Well, normal business hours are not concretely defined. And this law decided to concretely define them as 9 to 5 or 7 to 7. It's up to the polling place. It's up to the county. They made Saturdays mandatory, 2 Saturdays a month, and Sundays optional. None of that was previously in the law. And I just didn't see, I mean, maybe the Dropbox thing could be an issue, but honestly, that's going to be more of an issue in rural areas where people tend to vote right, because it's like 1 per 100,000 voters. And so that's going to be an issue for rural voters, not for, you know, inner city people. If you're worried about, you know, people in the cities and such. So I had a hard time finding something about the bill that was truly egregious, to be honest.
All right, Chud Logic.
Yeah, sure. In order for democracy, or what we call, like, you know, liberal democracy, to function, it's important that people that are eligible are able to vote in a very easy, simple way, but doing so in a way that doesn't present the chances of, you know, fraudulent voting happening. Based on the data that we've got, it doesn't really seem like there's a significant issue with fraudulent voting in the United States. So I guess it just doesn't really make sense to me that we would need to put in place what essentially are more barriers to people being able to vote. And I think you're being dishonest if you would say that this doesn't in some way create barriers to being able to vote. You know, it seems to me like this legislation is specifically targeted in such a way. Like, for example, when we're talking about, you know, not being able to give out, you know, food and drink, and it's going to be done election officials, that's only really going to be an issue in urban areas where queues are bigger and polling takes longer. As an example off the top of my head. But yeah, I just think that there isn't really any need to present any further barriers to people being able to vote. And I feel this legislation is only doing so as a partisan issue. And that's it.
All right, Rob.
So yeah, there's a lot of problems with how I see this being portrayed in the media. They wanted to claim that this was racist, and they really had no reason. So just to give you an idea of the misinformation about this law, the first reason they said it was racist was because on Sundays, black people like to go to church more often than white people. And then after going to church, they like to vote. And allegedly this bill was going to shorten hours on Sundays to vote. Therefore, it was racist. Only problem? It actually lengthens hours on Sundays. So it's the exact opposite of what we were told. And yet, so then they just went to the next thing. They said, well, you can't give bottles of water. Well, no, the problem is this. You can't give bottles of water within 150 feet if you're not a poll worker. People will still be able to get bottles of water. You could still hand them bottles of water if you're 150 feet outside. You're still allowed to bring your own bottle of water if you want. No one's going to show me one example of someone passing out or dying of dehydration, particularly when the polls could still have water and people could still have. This is just grasping at straws. What this really
Wait, are we going to wait for another person to die, Rob? Is that what you want? You want a body?
Why
It's opening statements. We got to.
Why can everyone follow the rules except you?
I know.
It's all right, Rob. Go ahead.
Anyways, proceeding. So it's just something that they're blowing out of proportion, because the truth is they want to make fraud as easy as possible. So, for example, with the ballot box, we have information from the Tennessee Star, for example, that 404,000 ballots that were cast, absentee ballots or mail-in ballots in the 2020 election, have lost their chain of custody. Right? We have evidence from polling that shows as high as 65%, I believe, of African Americans and 71% of people in this country think that voter ID is a good idea. There is this constant bigotry of low expectations where there's this idea of, oh, black people just can't figure out how to get identification. It's nonsense. And they're utilizing race and using this bigotry of low expectations in order to make a system where we know we have upwards of anywhere between 12 to 32 million illegal immigrants and other people that might want to engage in fraud. They're trying to make a system where that's as easy as possible to do. For example, we see in Pennsylvania that your voter signature registration doesn't even have to match your ballot if you're using mail-in ballots now. This is despite the fact that Democrats then promptly challenged signatures in California of Gavin Newsom, and they challenged signatures previously in Pennsylvania with Ralph Nader. So yeah, it's just a sham. They're trying to say it's racist. This isn't racist, and laws in other states are actually more strict, like New York and other states, than this Georgia law. So this is all about corporations and political power trying to make it as easy as possible to have fraud and using their agency and their influence to be able to ensure that.
All right, Aiko and then Nacho.
Okay, so the reason why, changing the laws that put more barriers in front of people, it's not just like because of inequality. There are in like the poor neighborhoods, a lot of times they're minorities, but it also is barriers to white people as well who are poor. Like it costs money to get an ID. You have to take a day off work and go there. These are things that like when you aren't like super stretched, doesn't seem like such a big deal. But there's like transportation. So it's I think just putting more things in the way of people voting. Um, like, there would have to be something to compensate for that, I guess. Like, I feel like, in general, I'm just not a fan of, like, giving people fines and, you know?
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. Um, that's all I got for now.
All right. She didn't even mention whiteness, everybody. Well done.
I'm not
Aiko.
getting into that.
Next,
Okay.
American Nacho.
All right. Sorry, I had myself muted again. Oops. Okay, so the whole water bottle thing, if I'm still trying to find where I saved it earlier, but I guess my document didn't upload from my phone. So, but it basically said there's nothing of value to be exchanged in the voter lines while you're in line waiting to vote, and that's just basic. Like, nobody should be like coming up and soliciting you or anything like that when you're in the line to vote. I think that I can agree that it's a problem that we even have lines so long that people would need to drink a couple of bottles of water. Maybe that's something we can look into. But I don't think there's anything racist about not allowing people to come interrupt people who are standing in line to give them a bottle of water. That's just weird to me. And then in sort of a response to what No Comment said, why isn't there a wave of red or purple states jumping to make these kind of changes if it's only because of the loss? And then I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Rob said, which is that a lot of what's in this bill actually makes it easier to vote and is actually removing some obstacles. For example, in line 86 on page 4, it says more than 100 counties have never offered voting on Sunday, and many counties offered only a single day of weekend voting. Requiring 2 Saturday voting days and 2 optional Sunday voting days will dramatically increase the total voting hours of voters across the state of Georgia, and all electors in Georgia will have access to multiple opportunities to vote in person or on the weekend for the first time. And then it goes on to say some counties in 2020 received significant infusions and grant funding for election operations, while other counties received no such funds. Promoting uniformity in the distribution of funds to election operatives will boost voter confidence and ensure that there is no political advantages conferred by preferring certain counties over others in the distribution of funds. So that, and then there was another, I can't find the exact place in here, but it's supposed to make voter ID, gaining a voter ID, like getting voter ID or getting voter registration, extremely easy, and I think free. Completely free. Yeah. So I just couldn't find the exact place, so I didn't want to.
The voter ID card is already free.
Well, you are you?
Yeah. But that's
sure
yeah. That's
done
it.
with your opening
Yeah.
statements?
That's it.
Hey Rob, I wanted to really quickly, because you mentioned chain of custody. What were you talking about there? Were you talking about the election results of the, like, what were we talking about?
So, for example,
She went straight to Rob. She didn't want to address anything that I had to say. She was like, "Hell no, I'm about to get
that have lost a chain of custody."
Okay,
so that's why
in Tennessee or in Georgia. I'm sorry.
That's in Georgia, and that's why that they
Bro,
want to.
I
Make
was
sure
reading
that
like
these
this whole
Dropboxes
thing
are
earlier.
constantly
Okay,
surveyed to make sure there's no
still don't want a
tampering,
piece of this.
stealing of
How
ballots.
sure are you that the election results in Georgia were?
And that's the facts.
You know, like, I mean, are you thinking that might be questionable, or are you just thinking that, like?
I think that the election.
Nobody addressed me at all. Nobody has addressed me at all. I just want to state for the record that nobody has addressed anything that I just said
whatsoever. That the election was
Shadowy
stolen
cabal?
afterwards. Right?
No, tell me about
Time
this.
Magazine's.
You might
Sure.
make me
talk
a
all night about
conservative
it.
here. Yeah, no, I want to hear about this, Rob. Okay, shadowy cabal. Let's go.
Right. So Time Magazine talked about how a shadowy cabal raised hundreds of $millions to change voting laws to ensure that Joe Biden won. They also did things like had people on the street that were willing to take to the streets if Biden didn't win. They censored information such as the New York Post story about Joe and Hunter Biden. They worked with hand in hand with media and social media groups to promote stories that were favorable for Democrats and to deny stories that were favorable
are we
for
saying
Republicans.
shadowy cabal because we don't know who they are exactly?
That's what they called themselves in the article. That's their
admitted who they were.
words.
They
Okay, who
talked
are
to
they?
them.
No, tell me. I want to know
all
this.
right, hold on.
If people are
Sure,
I'm
I'll
just gonna
bring
share
up,
the link.
I can bring up the actual names of the people that you want. Like,
I'll get the link.
Bring up the names, definitely. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, sure.
Let's hear some names, Rob.
Sure.
So, Rob, did the article call them a shadowy cabal?
Yes,
or
that's the
The article used word for word. I'll post the link in the chat right now.
Well, yeah, if they said they were a shadowy cabal, I mean, that's in black
This
and white.
was this was how they described their own operation. This wasn't the right calling. Yes, this was.
Yeah.
What are they called again? What is the name?
I just posted the link in chat.
Okay.
I actually
in
article.
the
That's not what a shadow campaign is. Not a shadowy cabal.
Okay, my mistake.
Okay, let's go.
That actually, like the whole like shadowy cabal thing, that stems from anti-Semitism. Not calling anyone
What?
anti-Semitic.
Real quick, if I could say real quick, this is what the article says. It says, that's why the participants want the secret history of the 2020 election told, even though it sounds like a paranoid fever dream. A well-funded cabal of powerful people ranging across industries, ideologies, working together behind the scenes to influence perceptions, change rules and laws, steer media coverage, and control the flow of information. They were not rigging the election, they were fortifying it. And they believe the public needs to understand the system's fragility in order to ensure democracy in America. So they use the word cabal, so I take the beef up with Time Magazine. That
So in other words, Rob, I'm just trying to understand. This is the group. This
but
is
hold
the
on.
group that was basically they were claiming that they weren't like trying to hide it. This was like the group that like did it was behind like it's not something that they're trying to like hide, because usually a cabal is something that like tries to squirrel. Are you saying that they used to be a cabal? They were like all hiding, and now they're like,
No,
hey,
but he can. It doesn't
us.
matter because we can use that. We can use that to describe that. We can use that to describe. Wait, but we can use that as a descriptor if they use it first. Like if you came to me and said, hey, if you came to me and said like, hey, I'm part of a cabal, then I would say that you were part of a cabal, like as a descriptor. Like, why is that wrong for me to say that after they said it themselves? How is that wrong?
It's like a normalized thing, but the language itself, like it's a norm. I don't expect people to know this, but the language has been historically like referencing Jews. So I just
I've never heard that before. I mean, I don't. You're probably right, but I'm just curious as to like how. Like or when I don't know. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Normally, when somebody is worried about a cabal, it has something to do with something anti-Semitic. So you look at like alt-righters believe in a cabal, flat earthers believe in a cabal. What's the guys who stormed the Capitol? The
QAnoners.
QAnoners believe in a cabal. Like yes, and it all has some sort of like anti-Jew rhetoric.
Rob, you got that list yet?
Can I get in?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to get in, please. Okay. So that Time article was terrible. It was stupid. If you actually read the content of the article, though, I know that, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Time gave conservatives a fucking easy dunk because you can pick out little bits of it and go, oh, look, they use cabal here. But if you actually read the content of the article, what they're actually explaining is fairly unremarkable
Slain bodies.
standard processes.
Thanks.
And
I saw where
for
you addressed me.
electoral
My wife was
campaigning.
showing me.
And if you actually look,
Thank you for addressing me.
yeah, I'm certain
Everyone
that
else
right
on
would
the
have done
left there
exactly the
was
same
too
sort of
terrified
things
to do
that the
so
Time
after they
article
realized
is
that I was probably the
referencing.
only one in this
Party
panel
would have done
who
exactly the
attempted
same
to read
thing. So
this
if you
fucking
wanna
bill.
use that as proof,
So,
they
you
would
know,
say, well,
clearly I've
guess
wasted
what?
my time
There's a
because now we're
right-wing
talking about a
cabal as
fucking
well, 'cause it's all
cabal
the same
and we're talking about the
shit,
New York
okay?
Times
Rob,
or article or whatever the hell. So, you know,
Listen,
Well,
don't,
look, we don't
listen,
want to jump to
wait,
conclusions.
Proud of you.
sorry, listen, Rob, you don't need to trump all that
Clearly
shit
I've
with me,
wasted my
okay?
time here.
I don't give a fuck about
I didn't
that
start
shit.
it. I didn't
Well,
start it.
but the thing is, obviously, me using it in this context isn't anti-Semitic. I'm just describing it, aren't I?
Neither was mine. That's what's clear.
She
Yeah,
wasn't
I
calling
think
you
the
anti-Semitic.
thing
You won't put it
was-
into
Clarified that.
I said I didn't
I
call
would
him
just emphasize
anti-Semitic.
the
I
language.
said careful that could be construed for careful that could be anti-Semitic. Is what I said.
That's- it's-
so some
it's
of the
funny,
names.
it's-
So I just
virtue
like we're getting
signaling.
off topic with this, but
What's
I don't
this
have a
virtue
problem
signaling?
talking about
You
it.
bought the
so.
time out.
No, I think
Hang
we
on a
can
second.
move on to
You
this. I
bought
think
the
we've
time
all
out.
agreed that the
Talk about
Senate
the
bill
rest
is
of the
not
time.
racist.
It's for
You brought
conservatives.
it up.
Like it's again,
What do you mean?
we could talk about it the rest of the time. That's good for conservatives. I don't have a problem.
Yeah, let's
with
just
that.
do
That's
that.
fine. So let's just talk about this article. No problem.
Wait,
So
wait,
first,
no,
you're
hold on.
What is there to talk
I
about?
can't read this. I'm too
Hold
slow.
on, Daniela, go ahead.
Two things about the voter law that two people brought up. So voter ID is free in Georgia. You can get an ID card for free to use to vote. So there is no cost. Also, with regard to long lines and the water, two people mentioned long lines. Part of this bill was if you are a large polling location, so a location that is assigned to more than 2,000 voters, and wait times at your location are longer than 1 hour, you need to hire more staff. And then post-election, that precinct for voting will be split into more precincts so that wait times are not so long. That was part of this bill.
Okay.
Did Rob disappear? Like, I
That's
think he was
fine.
gonna get a list. Where, look, Vivian has a list.
Yeah.
I want to see Rob's list. I want to see who's on Rob's list. And like, he's
We don't
got a
have
list of
lists
names.
over
Is he
here,
going
okay?
to get it? He said he was going to get a list.
Oh, did he
want-
say he
I was
actually had a
promised
list? Okay, well, in the meantime, I'd like to tack onto that another big contention with this bill was that they're removing the drop boxes. They're removing drop boxes all across the state. They've removed hundreds of drop boxes. Okay, this is from the bill. Opportunities for delivering absentee ballots to a drop box were first created by the state election board as a pandemic response. These drop boxes created by rule no longer existed in Georgia law when the emergency rules that created them expired. So that's why we saw that too. So that, you know, another thing that was being thrown around like, oh, they're making it harder to vote is also false because we're assuming that we're not going to still be in pandemic stages lockdown. Georgia's completely open now. So there's no need to have them, especially in 4 years. Even if we were to lock back down, I think we would be safe in another 4 years when it's time to vote again, or in another 2 years for the
that's the point.
midterms.
That's the point I was making real quick when talking about these drop boxes.
Wait, what did you say?
If you saw evidence that more drop boxes promoted more participation, would you say that's not a good expenditure for public resources to promote participation in our electoral system?
I think making it easier to vote it does the same thing. Making it free to get a registration card, a voter registration card, or a voter ID,
Right.
and then giving you more days to vote on.
Yeah. No, so I checked with my chat on that, and they kind of fact-checked you guys. So, like, you're being a little weaselly there. You're technically not wrong about the Sunday thing, but here's the deal. The Republicans originally wanted to reduce the hours on Sunday. That got
post the bill. You can read
because
it.
of political pressure, okay? They were going to do that originally. They changed their mind when they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, just like the January 6th thing. When everybody got their hand caught in the cookie jar, like, oh, shit,
well,
I'm
yeah,
not with
January
these
6th was
ones.
bad.
Okay,
We get it. Can you source that or something?
I don't know these people. Rob.
Okay, if I may speak,
you may.
No, I just don't like interrupting, comment. So I'd like to raise my hand. So I have.
It's because you're not an anarchist, Rob. That's okay. We forgive you for that.
Reject those radicals on the left, right? Anyways, the point is, there were a bunch of things that were discussed going into this bill before it happened. This happens all the time with left-wing policies as well. That doesn't mean that we judge people and say, oh, this policy as it was crafted is a return to Jim Crow, as Joe Biden said. It actually opens up hours. It opens up drop boxes. It opens up hours specifically for the hours they said would be most beneficial for African Americans. As far as the idea of drop boxes, no, you don't want
I only
drop
got
boxes
one
everywhere.
bullet.
Again, the reason I brought up the fact that some 400,000 odd ballots they lost the chain of custody for 2020. That doesn't prove the election was stolen. But do people on the left, are you comfortable with that? Knowing that the chain of that we have a system that says you have to have a chain of custody of all these ballots, and it's just fine that 400,000 in 2021, even if you're I'm not saying that that's proof of the
went pretty much like the other elections. The only difference was there was a pandemic, so some shit was different. But like, I think that you're making an assertion that something different went on, and you've never fucking proved it. Just like the affidavits, Rob.
Wait,
just
what?
Like all the other copies.
Okay, well, I was reading things.
Okay, can I finish? Can I finish? That would be awesome. Yeah, but also I could finish first. All right. So, but Rob, why are you still on the copium? Like this isn't exactly. You're like, I don't think it necessarily would have changed the thing, but are you really comfortable? I mean, like this sounds like copium. This sounds like you're like, well, we really could have won if everything was fair and they had the chain of custody good. Is the chain of custody secure in the 2016 election? Can you compare those results and say, oh man, 2020 that looks really bad. 2016 though, when Trump was elected, good shit. Or is it just that it's good shit that Trump got elected and you're still sad that you lost your god emperor because he went down like a fucking loser and took the L like you seem to be reticent to? So Rob, again, your list. You were going to bring us a list of people on this in the shadowy cabal. I would love to know what their names are, Rob.
All right,
First, I'm going to continue going on the point I want.
Rob, real quick, just 1 second. We're going to let some other people get in here as well. So as soon as once you finish, we're going to go to. I think Aiko was trying to get in just a second ago. So go ahead.
Sure. Sure. So the problem is, yes, the 2020 election was massively different than the 26 election because in Georgia, I know America Nacho already said this, but no comment chick who asked me a question then leaves. She probably wasn't listening to him because she was geared up to make some inane point where she interrupted again. But America Nacho already correctly illustrated that the drop boxes were unique to the 2020 election because of COVID. That's how we know that there was that it was a different situation than 2016. Again, I don't understand where this comes from the left. I'm not saying the fact that the chain of custody was lost proves that the election was stolen or anything like that. I'm saying that anyone who reasonably wants fair elections should say, yeah, that's a problem. If every state requires a chain of custody, it's a problem if 400,000 something ballots lost that chain of custody. So if we're crafting a bill to ensure that you could continue to vote by mail, we ought to make sure that those drop boxes would be in places that we could clearly identify the chain of custody. That's all.
Why weren't
when
the
it comes
courts,
to I'm not going to answer you if you're just going to keep interrupting, right?
I just really
you
want to
asked me. You asked me for another question. Mike Podetzer was. Mike Podetzer
was. We're going to go to Aiko.
Right. So Mike Podetzer was the person who founded this organization. Then they called their organization involved people like Greenpeace. Right. Right. It involved all of these organizations. They called their like Community to Action, MoveOn.org, Planned Parenthood, Greenpeace, Progressive Data Geek, Strategists, Representatives, Donors Foundation, state level grassroots organizers, racial justice activists. No, I said donors, representatives and donors of foundation.
I posted the link to the bill in her chat and said, read the bill, chat.
Activists and others. There was a weekly 2.5-hour Zoom call. It was structured around a series of rapid fire.
And I disliked. Eat that, nerd.
Hundreds,
Look at that.
Created a rare
Look at that dislike ratio, dude. Get wrecked.
So I don't know. You think you got you. Again, this isn't some Alex Jones or right wing rag. This was Time Magazine.
I like this one, dude.
Right, and a bunch of groups that were in that.
Groups,
yes.
Okay, not people.
Is this some victory for you?
No, I just want to know. You said a list of names. I thought you meant people. Did you not mean people? You just meant a list of names of groups.
Groups that were involved with this. Yes.
Okay, but you don't have more people. Okay, I thought you were talking about.
I could keep reading the article. I'm sure there's more people named. If you want.
Yeah, I would love to hear the.
Is this what the panel's going to be?
No, we're not.
So wait, hold on, because we could move on to this. If we move on to this, that means that they concede that this bill was not racist.
Okay, hold on.
Of course, that's a weird chat moment.
Who said that? Wait, who said?
Guys, hold on. We're gonna go.
Oh my goodness.
We are gonna go to Aiko. Rob, if
I knew that was gonna get him.
The names
I was like, if I move on, that means they concede that this is not racist, and it was just like,
okay. Aiko, go ahead.
Why is there always one psycho person in each channel?
Okay. Okay, so basically, I can't really engage with this conversation so much because if I want to like assume everyone is here in good faith and you're giving me sources, but I also don't have time to read them, so I really can't.
Oh, somebody clip that, please.
At the moment.
So perfect.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
I can't really speak to this because I am lit out of my gourd.
the narrative that you personally
Oh
have.
my
We all have
God.
narratives, and who
on,
knows
man.
who to even believe.
Holy.
Basically, it just seems
Who knows
like
who to believe?
everyone is
Who
like
knows who to believe? How about you believe the bill itself?
like we all
What are you
kind of,
talking
like,
about? Who knows what
have
to
some
believe?
brain
It's
worms, and
it's just a great.
I'm willing to give it a shot
What are
that
we?
maybe
What
We can all
the
hear
heck is
you.
that, bro?
maybe I also had them too.
Oh my
and
God.
we can just all try to get rid of our brain worms together.
All right, we're gonna go to Chud Logic and then Danielle.
Okay, no problem.
What a
Right,
take.
so I actually think that there is like some nuance here, right? And I don't think that it's really.
Oh, here we go with the
And
nuance.
I'll be honest. It seems like the right are more, trying to cram words in our mouth to go, oh, you're saying it's racist. You're saying it's racist. I haven't fucking said it's racist. Play the fucking tapes. Point to where I said it's fucking racist. I ain't said it's racist once. Okay. However, the point to make on this, and the reason, this idea that saying that black people are less likely to have ID is racist. I'm sorry, that's just like, I don't know what it is. It's like some sort of inverse virtue signaling type nonsense from the right. Study after study has shown that if you implement strict voter ID legislation, whether you like it or not, it will disenfranchise the black community. That is just a fact. It's a factual thing that's been studied. If you want to disagree with it, that's fine, but you're literally arguing against factual data that exists. So I don't know what to tell you. You're arguing against reality.
Okay, so there's
I would
several
love it
problems.
if you
One,
would
it wasn't
We're
just.
gonna go to we're gonna go to Danielle. Go ahead.
I'd love to see the study that says that, but assuming that's true, this bill is passed in March. So I think there's plenty of time for groups, including Black Lives Matter and any other charity group that wants to get involved, to organize getting
gonna hydrate.
minorities who,
Sorry,
for
guys.
whatever
Sorry if I
reason,
don't see all
have
those.
easy access to voter ID, and getting them
That's
a
what
voter
I'm
ID,
here for.
especially since it's at no cost. So
Oh
if the
yeah, gotta get a little
logistics are
smoothie
the
in me.
problem, and getting there is the problem, there are solutions for that, and we should figure those out.
Sure,
But I think
go on.
it's a little nutty
Bring what
to
up?
just be like, we are
It's
not going
from
to
a
verify
heritage
this person
database
exists,
report cited by MIT scholars.
because it could
The
disenfranchise them, rather than
the
saying,
stats I
we
linked
need to
above.
verify
If you
this
scroll
person
up.
exists.
Oh,
We
slaying.
don't want to
Oh, okay.
disenfranchise
Here we
them.
go.
Here's how we solve for it. Like, it doesn't have to be
Yeah, I see
binary.
that. I'll grab it.
But the thing is, you're trying to solve a problem that doesn't even exist. Again, voter impersonation fraud is just so rare. It's not even worth a consideration. If we're in a position where there was like thousands upon thousands of votes that were illegitimately being cast through voter impersonation fraud, I would agree that we would need to implement something. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's an old maxim that I think sometimes has some use, and I think is applicable in this case. This problem you're trying to solve just doesn't exist.
Okay, so one of the issues with so a couple of things to say on this, Chud. It wasn't, at least for me. I don't think I said that you said it was racist. The problem is this is how it's being talked about by people in positions of power in this country. Our president said this is worse than Jim Crow. Major League Baseball is moving the All-Star game because this is allegedly racist.
Yes!
This is the attack that was made, right? So kudos to you for not saying it was racist, but I believe that we are legitimately responding to people in positions of power in the mainstream that this is the claim that they're making, and it's clearly a nonsense claim. And secondly, Daniela makes the absolute correct argument. There have been like actual, blue checkmark people or celebrities that have came out and said, you show me one person in Georgia that doesn't have ID that wants to vote, I will put thousands up to make sure every single person has an ID. The IDs are free. You can get them for free. If there's so much of a movement to enfranchise voters, then why wouldn't these organizations be finding these people that apparently by scores want to vote but don't have ID and be helping them with them? It's because they're manufacturing a problem that doesn't exist. And the last thing I'll say is, you say that voter fraud's not that big of a deal. How would we know? Was there an audit? Was there an audit of the? Was there an audit of the 2020 election? Studies, right?
Or the 2016
voting laws, right? We real quick, we changed the voting laws massively, almost all over the country for 2020. That would open them to all sorts of. For example, in Pennsylvania, the studies that you're talking about didn't take into account that your voter registration signature does not have to match your mail-in ballot signature. So how would we know if that's rife with fraud unless we did an audit?
Okay.
I'm sure
we're going full on righty, dude. We're just aligning with Rob for this, dude. Just to piss these idiots off, because I have no respect for any of these people. Maybe Chud Logic, just because he seems to have some grip
let me finish.
on reality. But I mean, these two, I have no. I'm sorry. I don't care if they see this. I have no respect for these two. They've had bad takes or no takes on it. Actually, Aiko's not that bad. At least she admitted that she didn't really have knowledge on this. So that's fair. But no, Comment Chick, I really just want to trigger her, man. Like, she's just baited me into being like full on righty. Like, I'm prepared to like defend like voter fraud at this point with Rob. Just
other people brought cases. It wasn't Trump. He didn't lose 50 or 60.
Widespread, baby. We're going all in.
Right, and that doesn't prove that doesn't prove it.
Just to tack on before it gets too far away from it, from what Rob was saying, like the whole moving of the MLB out of Atlanta, a largely black city, to Denver, that has like a 1% black population or something insanely low. I mean, you're doing more damage to the black community than you are helping it. So just add that cherry on top there too.
Oh, and then also Colorado has voter ID requirement. Just FYI. Colorado.
I don't give a fuck about MLB. Why am I being held accountable for the actions of the MLB? I don't give a fuck about the MLB.
Well, this is something that happened. This is something that happened as a result of the mainstream narrative that this is a racist bill.
Go and speak to MLB then. Why are you speaking to me about that? I don't fucking care.
Because this is what happens when you promulgate this shit narrative that this bill is racist.
Hey, everybody, hold on. We're a little over time right now, so we're going to let everybody do this in a closing statement. Go ahead and shout yourselves out at the same time. Let everybody know where they can find you. And nobody, please, again, no questions. Don't interrupt. There are no you can't ask them anything or interrupt. So we'll go ahead and go backwards from how we started. So we'll start with No Comment Chick. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just curious, like, Rob, no, I'm not going to ask you any questions. Okay, so I am No Comment Chick. I am on Twitch and YouTube. You can check out my videos. I am supporting.
She doesn't want to get dunked by Rob at the end.
Just saying
down and doesn't let assholes like
Did
Rob.
I hear?
Yeah, I think he did. He probably did. She just doesn't hear anything because she's in her own fucking world reading her chat.
I want to make sure I heard right.
Expose them to ideas that they wouldn't have
Actually,
otherwise had, because there's literally no way to take care of like 12 ideas.
This is what turns everybody away. This is why nobody wants to talk to the left, because of people like her. She is literally the definition. Blue hair, cat ears, screeching on the internet. Like, this is the definition.
Good memes.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
This is the definition.
No Comment Chick, go ahead.
Even lefties hate this. She's pissed Aiko and Chud off like this whole time. Like from the beginning of the thing, they were like, "Nope, she's not an accurate representation."
Well,
like, bro,
I thought this was really interesting. Not surprising, but interesting. Anyway,
are you watching this?
Some of my content.
Are you watching this?
Becomes Revolution.
Oh, okay.
On Facebook. And
yeah, I know.
Makes those videos that like white people know.
Dude, you should put it on, man. Well, I mean, it's almost over now, but
is it closing statements for this
Jesus.
topic or just broadly?
You can do it broadly as well. Yeah, whatever you want with your closing statement.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I think that one thing we see as conservatives will constantly try and pin actions of like the liberal media establishment on lefties. I don't give a fuck about all these fucking this bullshit, this cultural nonsense you're talking about. It's fucking nothing to do with me. So don't pin that on my fucking door, okay?
Well, you got it.
What I say is, like,
it's on your fucking door.
You know, there is some nuance here. Appreciate maybe got a bit spicy, but you know, I agree there is some nuance to this legislation, sure. But I think at its core, you do have to contend with the fact that it is, you know, trying to fix issues that don't exist, which doesn't really make sense to me. In terms of my final point, listen, I know maybe got a bit spicy at times. Appreciate all of you. Had a great chat with all of you. Thanks so much for having me on. Chad Logic on all good social media platforms. On Twitter, follow me at Irrational Chad. That's it.
Awesome.
Your friend. That's not you. That you meant your friend.
That's my producer. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Rob, go ahead.
Okay, just to close the topic, again, they're calling this Jim Crow on steroids. And I appreciate people apparently are saying that's not how they feel about this law here, but you can see it's a very benign law that actually puts, again, in New York's worse, Delaware's worse with their restrictive law. You can't even wear a shirt that says like Trump or Biden in New York. I didn't even know that, let alone hand out food, So like it's just virtue signaling. And I understand where Chud Logic's coming from saying, I don't care about the MLB, but this stuff matters. We just had over 100 corporations and people from them meet to discuss what to do about boycotting states that have these sorts of election laws. That's insane. That's not democracy. That's people in this wealthy class that are deciding these things. And the last thing I'll say is like, we should have an audit. Please shut up. You've been nothing but a detriment to this whole panel. So if you could please stop your detriment.
Anywhere you fucking go, you ridiculous ass clown. Nobody wants to hear
couple seconds. Leave these last couple seconds go without your interrupting.
I fucking love it, and they love to see it.
Okay, sorry. Go.
Sure,
go ahead.
Sure, no problem. So what was my thought on this?
Damn.
Let's do it.
Please.
I'll wait until.
Can
I? Okay, thanks.
You can rap God, yes.
I'll wait. Can you could mute her, or I could just keep waiting to finish my thoughts if you like. It's up to you. Anyways, these corporations putting their thumb on the scale, that's terrible. And the last thing I'll say about this is just because we don't have studies right now, if you leave a loophole like this and you don't require ID, inevitably someone will be corrupt, and it might be someone on the right. So all of us, regardless of our political leanings, should want safe and secure elections. Polling shows that over 50% of Republicans and Democrats think that there were massive problems with the 2020 elections, and they don't trust the results. So you could find me at Rob Noor on Twitch, like my name's spelled, so it's just all lowercase, one word. You can find me at Normal America with Rob Noor on YouTube, and I'm also on D Live at Normal America. So thanks so much, everyone that was on the panel that had a constructive dialogue with you. It's nice to see that there are people on the left that you could have that with. So I really appreciate you. And thanks for having me, Tom Foolery. I had a lot of fun.
Appreciate you coming, Aiko.
I'm Aiko Rules. I mainly stream on Twitch. I think that I was kind of frustrated during this panel because I feel like we are talking to and defending people who aren't here. And it's like, are we just making a case to excuse the parts of our side, quote unquote, why they suck? I feel like we're not actually talking about why you think this thing is good or not, like you as a person. I don't know. I feel, or at least when we're talking to each other. And I just want to actually have a conversation, like a one-on-one conversation, so that way I can know the events, and I can the details. I'm sorry, I got very stoned. And nice to meet the people I didn't know. And also to meet Chud and Irene. And I don't know, I'm gonna be on Twitch after this.
Psycho. And then Nacho.
It's time for me now. Sorry. I was making jokes with my wife. Okay, totally unrelated. We're drinking a lot. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I love everybody on the panel. Chud Logic and Aiko, thank you guys for being reasonable. Really disappointed with No Comment Chick. I'm sorry if my emotions from dealing with that bleed over into our discussions, but Aiko and Chud, I'll be glad to sit down with you one-on-one any day, anytime you want to talk. Please let me know. In closing, I guess Floyd could have OD'd. Political violence is wrong. GA Senate Bill 202 is not racist. Okay? I'm American Nacho. You can find me everywhere at American Nacho. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. So, love you guys. Thanks for having me on.